Plus, he was Asian, so I trusted him.
Oh, you trust him because he was Asian. That's it.
Yeah, he was Asian, so I was like, oh, this guy knows.
Yeah, he knows. What does he know?
He knows about computers.
He knows about computers because he's Asian. But
Yep.
I'm gonna grill you on this. I hope you know that. Mostly because we are live, and
Oh, I know.
I happened to unmute you literally the second you said I trust him because he's Asian. That's the first experience that anybody's gonna have for this episode.
Oh, I know. I heard it because I had it playing.
You're waiting. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Vomitorium. Episode number 8, I believe we're on. I think. I don't know. I have the title somewhere.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I'm the middle, your host, and my co-host,
Chris.
Chris. How you doing today, Chris?
I am good. I've been up since 5 a.m. because I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep.
Ah.
But that's good. I'd rather go to sleep early than late.
I would.
For right now.
Well, because you want to adjust to your normal schedule again, right?
Yeah. Well, I also just no one's on in the middle of the night, so.
Yeah. No, I love being up in the middle of the night. To me, it's the best.
I do. I usually would rather it. Like sometimes I'll purposely fuck up my sleep schedule for it,
Yeah.
but I want to be able to be awake in the day again.
Yeah. I think it's mostly because nobody's on. And
Yeah,
I like not
exactly.
being bothered.
Yeah, no, that's the same reason I do it.
But yeah, we've got some shit to talk about.
Boy, do we.
Yeah. As you can see, I themed the title of this episode appropriately for both of the two different things that I was talking to you about. I don't know if you'll have anything you want to talk about, but most of the time you just kind of tangent into something unknowingly anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's titled "The Future Is Now, Old Man," off of that very classic Malcolm in the Middle quote with the Dewey up in the basketball hoop. Lovely image. You can find it in any GIF search.
Hell is it?
And it's because one of the things I want to talk about involves time travel. And the other thing I want to talk about involves corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
So, which one do you think would be more interesting for you to talk about first? I'll let you decide.
Let's flip a coin. So we got corporal bullshit and time travel, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's put time travel as heads.
Okay.
Okay, tails. So corporal bullshit.
Corporate bullshit.
Subject.
Okay. So, within this last week, we've already had images of one of the two, but of the other, Sony just gave a ton of announcements on the PlayStation 5. So that's where we're going. Console gaming is the corporate bullshit.
I figured as much.
Yeah. And specifically, it's like, you know how every generation there are buzzwords for everything. They don't actually want to give you innovation unless you're occasionally Nintendo, because Nintendo is the only one that actually tries to innovate, and then everybody tries to rip them off.
True.
But they've got buzzwords, right? In fact, innovation was the buzzword back in, like, what was it, 2008, I believe? It was innovative. Everybody saying,
for Nintendo?
no, just for gaming, period. Like, everybody's saying, oh, look how innovative this is. How innovative this is. Yeah. Innovation was the buzzword. And this specifically, you get the future of gaming every couple generations or so. Like, they won't say it every single generation of a new console, because they know that you'll catch on too quickly, or at least the average person will. But every other one or so, they'll be like, the future of gaming. Which bothers me on many levels, right?
They had it with, like, the N64.
Yeah.
And then they had it with, like, the Xbox 360 and PS3.
No, with the N64 is probably the only time that I actually kind of agreed.
I
What
think
or
I think like PS2 and Xbox to 360 and stuff was a big jump.
well, it was a big jump, but it was more of a jump in processing power to an extent, and not so much in how games were done.
Oh well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
you want to
the
talk
biggest
about?
thing that came out of the 360 era was like arcade shooters,
Yeah,
like Battlefield and Call of Duty.
yeah.
I mean, we had them. We had shooters on the PC already, but like
They even had
that
shooters going
became.
all the way back to the
But they were.
64, but they were. Whew.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like we had like Quake on the computer, and then we had like Call of Duty on console.
Yeah, but this is why,
That
like,
started a whole new
I
era.
don't mind when people say this about the 64 or just the era of the 64, because at that same time, it wasn't just getting those 3D polygon games at home. You're also seeing that stuff slightly before that in arcades, right?
Yeah.
And even Nintendo had been trying that for a while with the Super Nintendo, with the attachment to the bottom, so you could play things like. There wasn't the attachment to the bottom; it was the graphics attachment to let you play Star Fox and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So every other generation tries to say the future of gaming, and I've got several problems with this. Right. One, gaming hasn't changed that much since it started. Like we've got maybe some genres that didn't exist before because we have processing power and the ability to make games in some ways that didn't exist. But on the whole, gaming really hasn't changed too much. It's been like an slow evolution that seems fast compared to other technologies, but is actually even slow compared to the technology that the genre or the medium is using.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest change in gaming is just uh like being user friendly because
Yeah.
it's more to it's like a broader audience. A lot more people are playing video games nowadays than back in the
Yeah.
80s.
Which I don't know if is actually a benefit to games.
It's not to veteran gamers,
Well, I
but
don't
to
know if
new
it's
ones it
even
is.
a benefit to new gamers on the whole, right?
Overall, it's kind of like spoiling a kid.
Yeah, and
And
I've
then
noticed more and more, or less and less people are finishing games, and they keep trying to make them easier, so that people will finish them. Like, oh, well, clearly it's too difficult. That's why people aren't finishing it. It's like, no, I think it's because you're not keeping their
it's
interest.
because it's boring. Yeah, you
Yeah,
lose interest.
because let's talk about games that aren't hard but feel hard. Is the Soul series, right? And the Soul
I
series has one. Well, they're actually not difficult games. They're effortsome. You do have to put effort into them, but they're not difficult by any means of what the word difficult actually means. But they have some of the highest completion ratings out of anything on like the like achievement scores and trophies and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah,
They're fun games.
and they keep your interest because it's a proper challenge. You put effort into it, you get a reward back from it.
I mean, Dark Souls is pretty much just like Zelda, but like darker
Yeah.
and like more realistic-ish. I
Well, I've
mean,
even compared Breath of the Wild to the Souls game in this regard, where the game is only difficult if you run headfirst without looking.
yeah. I mean,
Like there are some parts where if you just don't know what's coming up next, even if you are careful and take your time, you're still probably gonna die, and you have to learn like, oh well, this is the thing that's there.
yeah. It's
But
it's mostly like you're gonna fail. Like it's a game where
yeah,
you're meant to fail,
but for the most
and
part, it's a game that rewards methodical and patient gameplay.
you have to be patient
Yeah.
unless you're a fucking speedrunner. But I mean,
Yeah, but
you
people who
know,
speedrun it were probably patient the first time that they did it, right? Because the whole
exactly.
point of speedrunning comes down to a combination of actual virtual memory and muscle memory.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of just grinding hours and memorizing everything. That's all speedrunning is.
There's times, there's times where like go back and just like practice Super Metroid,
Yeah.
and just because it's in my memory, I'll accidentally take a wrong path. Like I'll do an older path, and it fucks me up because like that's not what I meant to do. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
and then I usually just continue just cause, but
There's the problem because you grind so much of your memory into it that trying to
mm,
change your route takes just as much grinding to be like, no, you got to replace the old stuff.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like even
But
though I've done like a lot, it's still there.
and this is also why like I'm skeptical about this future of gaming, right? Because even looking at a lot of the stuff that they showed for the PlayStation's like games, they showed a whole list of games. I actually can pull one of the lists up that my brother sent me before I went back and watched some of the direct stuff.
I actually
There,
haven't watched anything about it.
yeah, let me scroll up to it. But a lot of these games just they don't interest me in the slightest. It's like I looked at this list and I'm like,
Yeah,
bam, you just gave me more reasons not to purchase this PlayStation.
the only two games I saw was like the Horizon New Dawn game or whatever it's
Yeah,
called now.
Horizon 2 Forbidden West.
Yeah, that and then it was like a
Yeah.
Spider-Man game, and I was just like, I don't
I don't
like
like
those
Miles
games.
Morales. I think Miles Morales is a garbage character who's been ruining Spider-Man and Marvel Comics since he came out. But I also always hated the Ultimate Comics, so I've got a huge beef on that to begin with.
I mean, I don't have anything against them. I liked the movie and everything, but
Go at the Into the Spider-Verse.
yeah.
I didn't care for that movie. Didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. Everybody's like, oh, it feels the most like a comic movie. It's like, no, it doesn't. You guys don't even read comics. Get out of here.
I mean, I
Yeah. It's like, you're allowed to like the movie. I'm just, don't go around saying bullshit like this feels the most like a Spider-Man movie
oh no,
based on
I
the comics. It's
fucking
like, no, it's garbage by that comparison. Unless,
I don't. I didn't even go into it because it was Spider-Man movie. I just went into it because it was there.
yeah. It was like, oh, animated movie, I'll watch it. I got nothing better to do.
But yeah, like those two games did not interest me in the slightest.
I don't know. Especially like Horizon. What happened
Like I
to...
want to see like a new fucking. I want to see a new title, and I don't want to sound like a fucking like some incel, but like we don't need another female lead role. Make them non-gendered. I don't care. Like, but all these companies are doing
No, you make
female
them
leads.
you make them non-gendered, and then at the end of the game after you win, she takes off her helmet. It turns out it was a girl the whole time.
Like, I understand they're trying to be like progressive, but
Nintendo
every
what's up.
fucking game.
I know, but think about it, right? In that regard, what game was more progressive than Metroid? You had no idea that Samus was a girl, like, pretty much the whole time. Unless you
Dude,
read
in
the Japanese manual, which actually mentioned it. But in the American one, they didn't.
no, in the American one it says heat.
Yeah. And then by the end of the game, Samus takes off her fucking helmet, like, at that finish screen. And you're like, oh, dude, I was playing a chick the whole time?
Yeah.
But nobody cared because, like, at the same time, Alien was a big movie and stuff. It's like, well, people thought, well, women can be badass, of course. It's not even a question.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is pretty much based on Alien.
Yeah.
But
Especially, like, the character designs and for the monsters and everything.
yeah. But it's just like every fucking game, dude. Like,
Every game.
okay, we get it. Women are strong too. Like what?
Yeah. Well, here's my problem, right, with this. Other than everybody critically acclaimed, and I believe it's probably just because the main character is a woman. That's got to be the only reason. Because looking at people play it, Horizon Zero Dawn was like generic open world RPG of the year.
Yeah, it didn't interest me at all when I was looking at it, like when it came out.
Yeah, nothing looked interesting about it. And they're like, oh, well, look at this, these mechs or robots that are interacting with this kind of pre-medieval style, prehistoric style world or whatever. Kind of Stone Age stuff, basically, right? And you're like, yeah, but doesn't the Xenosaga stuff do that better? Where it's kind of like a fantasy medieval world, but everything's robots. It's like you're not new with this. There's literally nothing new about what's going on here, other than you slapping some shit together with some shitty gameplay. But like I said, here's my problem, right? Where's Horizon 1?
Isn't
It's
that
like,
what a New Dawn is?
no, wait. It's the first one was Horizon Zero Dawn, and now we have
Zero.
Horizon 2 Forbidden West. Where's Horizon 1?
It's Zero Dawn.
No, it's Horizon Zero. Where's 1?
True.
Yeah, it's like they skipped a whole game.
Metroid Zero Mission is number.
Yeah, because they give you a prequel.
Well, no, it's the first one.
Well, it's the first one, but it's basically going back to people. It's using the first one as a prequel because people hadn't played the first one in so long. So people needed to go back to get the original information.
Shit, they didn't remake the second until fucking 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know. But it's like we go from Horizon Zero to Horizon 2. I feel like there's a whole game missing here. How are you supposed to keep up with all the information?
You know, that reminds me of, you ever heard that, like, a bunch of, when Mario Party 3 came out?
Yeah.
A bunch of, like, moms accidentally bought the first one for their kids because on the fucking box, it's Mario hitting one of the number blocks, and it has a number 3 on it. So they thought it was all these moms, like parents, thought it was the fucking third Mario Party box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that.
Okay, so I have the list.
Did they show any games on the Xbox?
I didn't see anything about the Xbox other than what the console looked like.
Yeah,
and
it's like
it's probably kind of, like a mini fridge.
Yeah, maybe.
It's the most box-looking Xbox since the original. Probably even more so than the original. Like that, at least the original had the X on it, so it was literally an X box. It looked like a VCR.
Is it?
But this one, it's like, at least you went back to making box-looking fucking consoles to go with your name.
It's so weird looking.
I mean, the PS5 doesn't look any better.
True.
I try to go with a sleek, futuristic design. I've seen people post memes. It looks like freaking Seto Kaiba's clothes.
Yeah. I've got a bunch saved. Dude.
Yeah. And it can sit sideways if you have the mount, so it'll come with like a stand, and it's so awkwardly shaped that you actually have to put it on a stand if you want to sit sideways like any of your other consoles.
That's really dumb.
Yeah. I don't even know if the Xbox can sit sideways. I mean, it's a box, so functionally you can just put it sideways. There's nothing they can do about it. It's not gonna flip over. But I don't know if like the disc tray is going to be designed for you to be able to set it sideways. And
well, it looks like the disc tray is
awkward.
standing up, so it should be fine.
Should be fine. If it's a pop-out disc tray, right? If it's one of those slide-in ones, which I know a lot of people do, PlayStation 4 had the slide-in one.
Yeah.
Depending on the design of it, sometimes those give you trouble when you actually decide to change them. The way gravity gets involved.
Gravity.
But
Gravy.
It looks like putting it on its side isn't going to make a difference though, because it looks like it's so awkwardly dimensioned. Because it's a bit thicker than a normal console because it's perfectly squared on the X and Y axis. It's this that's like long. So it's like, yeah, you could put it in an entertainment center thing on the side, but you can't like stack it up like you can with certain things. There's not going to be room up or below it, but there'll be room behind it, even though why would you ever put anything behind something?
Yeah. I don't know, man. These consoles are...
Okay, do you want to go?
All I can say is PC.
Yeah,
Just
when we go through
just
this
play PC
list of games.
and Switch. Oh
From,
yeah,
yeah.
let's hear it.
Okay, so we'll start. It's Spider-Man Miles Morales, which again, lame. I didn't like the first one. Like, just watching it, it did not seem like the type of game I'd be interested in. Gran Turismo 7, which I'm going to say there's definitely games on here that are not going to be PlayStation exclusives, even though these were all announced during the PlayStation show. Sony does this often. Or if they are, they're only going to be exclusives temporarily.
Yeah.
Then there's obviously stuff in here like Horizon that are definitely going to be exclusives because Horizon was a Sony exclusive in the first place, unless Epic Games throws enough money at them and solves that problem like they have been doing.
And they give it away for free.
Yeah. Yeah, Gran Turismo 7, which is probably not going to be an exclusive. Ratchet and Crank... it was a typo. It says Ratchet and Crank Rift Apart. It's Ratchet and Crank. Well, it's a funny typo because they probably grabbed it directly translating from the Japanese because it is Ratchet or Racket and Crank in Japanese because there's no L, right? Square Enix's Project Athena, which when it comes to exclusives for Sony, or just any system, it's hit and miss with Square. You have no idea whether something's going to be exclusive because you don't know if that console company paid for the production. And then you have no idea if it's just going to be on Steam later on anyway, like with Octopath.
If that game is what I think it is, I think it's bad.
It's probably Square's been really hit and miss within this whole last like decade or so. They have not been to the same standard they were within the mid-aughts and before that.
Yeah.
Stray, Returnal, Sackboy's Big Adventure, which I've even given my thoughts on why it's called that, because it's probably not going to have the build-a-level characteristics to it. And if you called it Little Big Planet 4, people would all just assume, because of the way Little Big Planet has been, that it would have the build-a-level stuff. But if you make it Sackboy's Big Adventure, you can literally do anything in the same world that doesn't involve that, and it won't, click in people's head. Destruction All-Stars. Kana, which is a Pikmin-like IP. Goodbye Volcano High, which I'm told is a gay furry romance novel.
Great.
Yeah, some of these things have, like, Joey sent me this, my youngest brother. Some of these have his, like, in parentheses, notes attached to it afterwards. And that's his note, gay furry romance novel.
Great.
And some of you, like, Destruction All-Stars has just the word lame attached to it. It's like, I love it when Joey sends me these lists because you're like, yes, I want to hear what your opinion is in whatever awkward way that you worded it immediately. You don't even have to give me like a paragraph on it. Just like 1 to 2 words would be great. Oddworld Soulstorm, Ghostwire Tokyo, Gearbox's Godfall, which, if we're going by Gearbox's track record, is probably going to be shit. Because that's how Gearbox has been going.
Sure has.
Hitman 3.
Wasn't there already Hitman 3?
Yeah, I think so. He put an asterisk next to it. But the thing is, the asterisk I think came from the original article. He did not copy and paste what the asterisks mean. So there's asterisks in this list, and I have no idea what they are.
Maybe they just mean like
remakes or ports or I don't know. Astro's Playroom, Little Devil Inside, which also has an asterisk. NBA 2K21, which I mean, cool. you ever have to announce any of those games, there's going to be one every single year.
Exactly.
Bug Snacks, which is by the same people that made Octodad. So, while I didn't enjoy that game, it looked really fun for people who like that kind of stuff. So Bug Snacks their track record holds, will probably be a fun game for people who like weird things.
Yeah.
Demon Souls remake. They're actually remastering or completely remaking Demon Souls.
Oh, that might actually.
Yeah,
I wanted
Demon
to play
Souls
that
was the
game,
good
but
one.
it's like it's aged, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Bethesda's.
I like Dark Souls 1 a lot. It's my favorite one.
Oh yeah, I like the Prepare to Die edition.
Yeah, that's what I play.
Yeah, but Bethesda's Deathloop, which didn't even look at it, and I was basically kind of confirmed my suspicions, and Buck gave me more information later, because it was worse than I thought. But I was thinking, like, oh, is this gonna be one of these games where you die and like it's using the checkpoint system as part of the narrative, and you're just in a loop of death and stuff like that? Yeah, pretty much. Lame.
It's so deep.
Yeah, freaking most of Bethesda stuff is lame these days, unless it comes from like one of their subsidiaries. And even then, they tend to Bethesda things up.
Bethesda thing up.
Yeah, like, everybody liked Doom 2016, and a lot of people like Doom Eternal, but there's a lot of Bethesda shit in Doom Eternal that made it a lesser game.
I loved 16.
Yeah.
The game was great.
Capcom's Resident Evil 8 Village is the subtitle for it. Which 7 was good. 7 felt
7
like
was
the
really
the
good.
first one, just in first person and with its own unique spin. So if they keep that up,
Yeah, I like 7 a lot.
On the whole, Resident Evil's been going good. I don't like some of the decisions they've made with the remakes.
You said the third one.
Yeah, specifically the third one. There's decisions I did not like with it. The 2 remake was pretty good, and it
really
felt
liked the remake.
It felt a lot like 2. It had a lot of the whole run around backtracking aspect and stuff like that, more so than 3. 3 streamlined a lot of the story. Also picked a weird spot for you to start, right? But 2 just felt like you were playing 2 and they added a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it too. Like a lot.
Yeah. But I believe they're probably going to be taking the same direction as 7, though, because this is an actual, like, the next in the line, a sequel.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
And I believe it follows the same main character, from what I'm told. The same guy from...
Oh.
Yeah, because, he got picked up by stars at the end, so this is typically what happens, is all the survivors of this shit end up joining the crew. It's like, oh, you've got experience. You want to help us out?
Man, I fucking hate scary games, but I really enjoyed those. But boy, where was I fucking... Man. Should have streamed it. But I didn't do it on a computer, so...
And then the last one was Horizon. That's the whole list.
Horizon. Great.
Yeah.
So there's like maybe 2 games on there that sound interesting.
Yeah, but like Resident Evil is definitely not even going to be an exclusive. I mean, 7 was out on PC at the same time that it was out on consoles.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was on both consoles at the same time. Like it launched on Xbox when it launched on PlayStation. So it's like... the stuff that sounds interesting, I won't even have to go to PlayStation to play.
Is the shit gonna switch again? Where I mean, even though the Xbox looks weird.
Well, here's the thing about the Xbox,
switch
right?
again.
And this is what I think Xbox is doing in his favor, because Xbox has not given a shit about exclusives too much, right? They've been focusing on timed exclusives, because well, there's people like you or I, we don't want to pay full price for a game, and we're willing to wait later.
Mm-hmm.
They know that the vast majority of people who buy games care about the cultural zeitgeist, right? So they don't want to miss out on talking about the game that they're going to be playing, and they will buy it during the launch window. So the launch window is where most games make their money, and it's the only thing that really matters to these companies. And that's why Xbox doesn't give a shit about long-term exclusives. They're just like, no, well, even just 3 months is enough for us, because we only need it for that first opening month.
Mm-hmm.
But what their big advantage is Microsoft has been willing to play ball in many different ways that Sony is starting to, but also is still kind of fighting against and is going to be doing them bad. Microsoft is fully willing to do cross-play with anybody. Nintendo, non-Windows Store PC games and stuff. They're even willing to work with Sony. But Sony's been the big dick about that for a lot of things. And Epic's been the one negotiating to get Sony on board with a lot of the cross-play stuff.
Yeah.
And also, and this is why even news about the Xbox interests me a lot more than, say, news about PlayStation. Pretty much, it's been getting more and more, and I think it's going to get to the point that they're not going to go back to doing it the other way. Pretty much anything that launches on Xbox is also available in the Windows 10 store.
Yeah, true.
Right? Which it gives me inclination to use my Xbox account, because you use your Microsoft Windows account for Live. And heck, if more and more games come out that give you bonuses, even if I'm mostly playing free-to-play games like Phantasy Star, I would even be willing to get a year membership of Xbox Live, because these games just give you shit for having it.
Yeah.
And you
and
also
the
the gold. Yeah. The only downside about because gold gives you free games, right?
Yeah.
Is that they don't do that a lot with Windows, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind of
mostly-
the incentive to get you to play on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, if Microsoft starts paying more and more companies to get like their Japanese or Korean MMOs and stuff over here, and the only way you can play it is through the Windows Store Xbox, and they want to keep giving you free shit for doing that, I am perfectly fine with that. You know?
Shit, no problem
Like-
here.
Like, I know you really haven't played it. We talked about this last time, but I've been playing the shit out of Phantasy Star when I find time. I love that game. It is great. Buck and I were just
I'm glad
playing
you
it
enjoy it.
this morning before I went to bed.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I did enjoy it, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's probably one of those games that you'd probably only play it if you had, like, a group of a bunch of people playing it with you. Like, all your friends were like, hey, we're playing Phantasy Star, and they'd force you to hop on.
Not even. I had like 3 other people I was going
Oh, really?
play with. I still just couldn't do it. It was just like, not me.
Yeah, but what if we got Matt to play?
Like, for one, you're not gonna get him to play.
No, you can't get Matt to play anything that isn't Super Smash Brothers.
Like, I don't know. That man is in his own world.
Yeah.
Friggin' motherfucker! I'm gonna kick his ass.
It'd come all the way down to Texas just to kick your ass.
I sure would. But yeah, there's a spider on you and whoop his ass.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I know that is crossplay from Sony is it's not even Sony. It's fucking Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's crossplay. So I'm surprised they even let that happen. 'Cause
Rocket
I know
League.
they were being.
Rocket
Oh
League
yeah,
is
Rocket
full
League,
crossplay.
sure.
What's that other one? There, a couple of the Epic games are full
Oh,
crossplay.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. God, that Monster Hunter ripoff game. That.
Starts with D, right?
Yeah. Buck plays it. Or he used
Dauntless.
to. Yeah, Dauntless. That one I think has completely full crossplay. I wouldn't be surprised if because Apex is Epic, right? Like it's
Yeah, but it doesn't have crossplay.
No, I just wouldn't be surprised if it ends up having full crossplay at some point in time.
I mean, I would like that. I would love to whoop some console players' ass, but
That might be the reason why they don't do it.
probably.
Because
Yeah, that
when it
game
comes
is
to
a lot about it's a lot about movement.
yeah, like when it comes
It'd
to
be
the
like making like Quake.
the battle
crossplay.
royales, right? Like Fortnite might have the best mechanics of the battle royales, but it's still not great. Yeah, it's not like playing
I
Quake.
I think Apex best mechanics.
Yeah.
My opinion. I cannot stand Fortnite.
I don't
I
like
don't
any of
like the
them,
way it
honestly.
feels. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the building.
No,
I fucking hated every single battle royale up until Apex,
yeah. People try
and
to
I
get me
like
into
Warzone too.
Apex. I can't get into it. I tried.
I mean, if you just don't like it, you don't like it. That's
Yeah.
all.
See,
But I see. I tried every battle royale because I wanted to like it, or I just wanted to be like, oh, I don't want to be like, oh, I hate every battle royale,
yeah.
But I did, and then Apex came out, and I enjoyed it.
I don't think I inherently dislike the mode though, like or the concept behind it. I think I dislike the execution so far. And I think also it's because the game's focus on the mode, right? And I had this discussion recently. Let's go back to what Microsoft could be doing to do better. The only exclusive that really matters. Microsoft only has one exclusive that matters, right?
Halo.
Yes, that's it. That's the only one that matters. But the last Halo, great multiplayer. That's the only thing people who like that game rave about.
Oh, and Halo
The
5.
Yeah, the story sucked.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm thinking. It's because Bungie's not there anymore. Obviously, Bungie was the one that made the stories good in the past.
hmm
And what I think it's 343 is the studio that does it now.
Yeah.
Clearly, they know how to make the mechanics work well. Like people rave about the multiplayer, and they adapted all the old stuff, like with the Master Chief Collection and the first Halo remaster. So they know what they're doing on that end. Maybe they just get to the point that you realize nobody really plays Halo for the story anymore. You haven't really done that since what ODST?
3.
Yeah, 3, but
Yeah,
ODST
had.
was like the change over from story to multiplayer focus.
ODST had a pretty good.
Yeah, and
Well, there was no like multiplayer in ODST.
yeah. Well, ODST was the one that brought in Firefight, right?
Yeah, it was Firefight.
Yeah.
And then Reach is the one where it's like it really switched because that's
Yeah.
when they start adding like abilities and stuff.
But it's very multiplayer focused now. That's just how it is. And you could tell from how the online's great, right? The connectivity is fine. Well, Xbox's online's been going downhill, but the good thing about Xbox used to be they were charging you because they're the only ones that actually have good online. Now everybody's charging you, and nobody's got good online. That's why it pays to be a PC player.
Yeah.
But they should just like scrap the story mode. If you don't have Bungie anymore, right? Just scrap
People would be pissed.
it. Yeah. But what you do is you still give them the same money's worth of content in the multiplayer. Just turn it into a multiplayer extravaganza, right? So you have all the classic styles and stuff, but hub them off into different lobbies and games. So you can actually have a competitive ranking system for every major style, and you can even throw in Battle Royale in Halo as a style of things that you can do. You can add all these different gameplay assets.
Well, it's kind of what they're doing with the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
They're making it where you can play any of the Halos.
Exactly,
online.
yeah.
You don't level up. Well, I think when you do like rank, it depends on whatever you're playing, but I'm not sure.
But that's what Halo 6 should be. It should just be focused solely on the multiplayer content. And you can even still make it like a game or game modes or whatever, where you could play it single player. You can make complex AI bots that people can play against. You can, through game hours, unlock lore elements and like a codex and stuff like that.
That was one thing I always wished Halo had, was
Like
bots.
Yeah, bots would be great for Halo. And
Because like
why not just focus on what the game is good at and what the company who's making it is good at, because clearly they know how to do the multiplayer and the mechanics, and just kind of like really go the whole 9 yards with it.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would be like outraged.
Yeah, people are gonna be outraged anyway. I mean, did you see how much
Yeah,
outrage was for Halo 5? And they tried to do things
true.
normal.
Yeah, true. I guess,
Yeah.
but I mean, with like Master Chief Collection coming out with all the fucking other ones, like the
Yeah.
previous ones, it's gonna be kind of hard to compete with like themselves.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, it's going to be hard to compete with themselves anyway because they just don't have the same people working on the games that made them great in the first place. And that's not even just the loss of Bungie, because even a lot the people who worked at Bungie who made the original Halo, all of them aren't even in Bungie anymore. And this is a problem that a lot of companies are facing. They've got this legacy of companies, but some people have retired, some people have moved to different studios and stuff like that. And you've got like this Theseus ship of teams that don't even really reflect the development team of the games you used to like.
mm-hmm.
And that's something I bring up in conversations a lot. Is like, people are like, man, I wish this company didn't die. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe you do wish it died, because at least it died before their teams started recycling into new people
Yeah.
and they started making crappy games.
Yeah, that's what happened with Gears of War. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I loved Gears. I loved up to 3, and then after that, it was like it was no longer what's it called? Is that when Epic dipped out?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Buck says, going back earlier, it might be the console players beating you because a lot of cross-play games lag on PC side for some reason.
Beating me.
I think
What
it's
do you
the
mean?
reason is that they throttle it so that PC people are just completely shitting on console players. Because the average is about the same, but the higher end there does tend to be a big difference.
The only
With
the
a few
only
games that are exception where it benefits the console side.
yeah, the only games that are like Halo, for instance, is
Yeah.
way better with a controller. It's just way better. It's meant to be played on a controller. So, I mean, you can play a mouse keyboard. I do sometimes, but sometimes when I'm getting shit on, I'm just like, oh well, I have to. Like, because most people play controller. Like, even if they're mainly mouse and keyboard players,
Yeah.
just because it's an advantage. And but like certain game, like Apex, for instance, if it did become crossplay, controller is not an advantage
Unless
at
they
all.
throttle you. And then it wouldn't be even the controller that was the advantage, the fact that you're being throttled for playing on PC at all.
What do you mean throttle? Was that?
So like you said, it ends up laggy on the PC side of things. I do.
Oh, like lag switching.
Yeah, yeah. So like I believe that the companies, and this is something that some other people have said about some games, right? This isn't just my theory. It's out there that some companies are intentionally throttling the connectivity of people playing PC to try to balance it out or to benefit console players.
I don't know. I've never had that problem playing Call of Duty. I usually just console players,
Yeah.
faster reaction. But
And one of the
yeah,
problems too is like, which again could be even worse if you have a low end model, right? But some people's computers run better than these consoles do,
yeah.
which gives you an
Also,
inherent advantage in that case too.
yeah, just like the FPS itself and response and
Because
everything.
these consoles, and this again, the future of gaming, this bothers me. These consoles aren't that powerful, right?
No,
They look powerful when you're comparing them to the last generation of the console, but when you compare them to the average computer specs of that time, they're not that powerful. They're like barely at the average. And then most people end up having something slightly better to way better anyway. And
yeah,
this is also why people have always been like PC master race, because it's laughable. And the only one that really makes up for this is Nintendo, who is usually always doing something interesting with their stuff in a way that you really can't get it with a computer. Like with the Wii. The Wii was like a really big seller for people who only want to play things on computer, because it's, unless you do some weird Bluetooth hookup or infrared scanning with a webcam, you really can't do the Wii stuff on a computer.
Yeah.
Right. And then Nintendo, on top of that, always has like a fuck ton of exclusives, because most of what Nintendo does is first, or I guess you could consider second party subsidiaries and stuff like that. It's only even this generation that Nintendo has a substantial third party library outside of their handhelds. And it's been like, what, 3 generations since that's been the case?
Yeah.
But when it comes to these other two, their exclusive libraries are... The games are fun. Like, I'm not going to shit on the fact that some of the games are fun that are in their exclusive libraries, but it's like a handful of games, right? When people... You laugh when people say, oh, look at all the exclusives this console has, right? Especially because PlayStation's had more long-term exclusives than Microsoft has this last generation, and they'll laugh at Microsoft for having no exclusives, while everybody else still laughs at PlayStation for having no exclusives, because virtually they have no exclusives.
Yeah.
It's
There's
like
a few, but
it's not like when you bring over Nintendo's library, and it's like 90% of their library are exclusives.
yeah, exactly. That's why it's like the only console I like support getting.
Yeah.
Like, and the only one after that would be PS4, just because of Final Fantasy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But even
Even then,
like,
is that's not going to be an exclusive long term. Like, you might have to wait a couple years or so, but it's not going to be an exclusive long term.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope it would come to PC.
It'll probably come to PC faster than it will anything else, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's because Sony doesn't think that it competes with the PC market at all, which I think is kind of dumb, but...
Which is pretty dumb, considering it's Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, because what they'll say is it's Steam. Steam's not Microsoft, right? It's like, yeah, but you're probably... Nobody's going to be playing this on an Apple computer.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of those games can be played on Apple, but nobody's going to be playing this game on an Apple computer. Hardly anybody's going to be playing these games on Linux.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be on Microsoft. But they don't see it as a competitor because Microsoft isn't selling you this computer, though. They're selling the operating system, but you're getting it from, like, any number of computer manufacturing companies. Asus, Acer, Hewlett-Packard, Lenovo, just Dell, any of these things.
Yeah.
The only ones that they see as direct competition is the Windows Store, because that is that's Microsoft directly, and that's Xbox.
It's pretty much. Yeah.
But they don't really see PC as a what's it called, as a rival to them.
I think it might just be because they can't.
Yeah, they probably just can't comprehend it, man. Like, they can't wrap their mind around it.
So they're like, well, at least we can compete with Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't even think they try to, like, compete with Nintendo, really. They just, like,
I think they kind of do. Well, they don't respect Nintendo. They hate Nintendo.
Well,
they have the longest freaking hate boner relationship that any company's ever had for Nintendo, for good reason. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah. It's probably waning down a little bit because Sony is more of an American company now than it Japanese. Their headquarters are here in the States. But Nintendo, on the other hand, doesn't think it's competing with Sony. And it really isn't. Nintendo doesn't compete directly with anybody else.
No.
They know what they're doing.
Like, they're kind of just, like, in their own corner.
I think they might get screwed, though. Because
by what?
Nintendo has been talking about moving its main headquarters to the Redmond location in Washington. And it's mostly because the taxes in Japan are killing them. And just the economy and stuff like that. And it's like, no, please don't. Do not move your headquarters to Washington. That is like one of the only place worse than that would be to move it to California. Which is what Sony did. It's like, please, keep this thing in Japan, where the crazy ideologues cannot ruin your company. It's already bad enough with Treehouse here. I've got so many bones to pick with the Nintendo Treehouse and the bullshit that they pull. Right?
Man. I just want to have fun playing video games.
I know. I do too. I want people to keep their communist propaganda out of my shit.
Communist propaganda.
That's what it is. You know it is. That's Horizon Zero Dawn. Let's go back to that. The game is entirely communist propaganda. Like, from start to finish. Yeah. And nobody can argue with me that it's not.
I don't know shit about that game, to be honest.
I'm gonna change my my banner on Facebook to I wonder if I still have it, but there's just this image. It's done in that kind of like Hotline Miami, like super 80s vector graphic style. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like, what's it say? It says something like, sounds like communist propaganda to me. That's all it says in that style. It's like the best image on the internet. And I'm just gonna that'll just be my my Facebook banner.
Hell.
It'd be my reply to everything. It's like, I don't know, man. Sounds like communist propaganda to me.
I mean, it is. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So, can't argue with that.
Yeah, and Punk says Sony is the company that literally said Nintendo wasn't a competitor because it's only for kids. Immediately after the Switch had a Doom port and Sony censored Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, well, again, I think historically, Sony thought it was competing directly with Nintendo. I think it's still trying to outcompete Nintendo.
Maybe back in...
because I in a snarky way, like, it thinks it's better than Nintendo. But it's been weighting down because different people are in charge now. It is more of an American company. Nintendo has outright said that they don't think they're competing with anybody. And they've said this for years. And they've kind of been true. Even back in the day, Nintendo and Sega would take hot shots at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But around the time of the Dreamcast is when it started. Which, that's about the time of the PlayStation, right? And in the time of the Dreamcast, they're like, yeah, we're not competing with anybody. Which is some tough words for the Dreamcast, because people thought the Dreamcast was going to be big, and look at that ended up being a failure. It was ahead of its time. It was doing many things that other people did. It was
super ahead of its time.
That was the problem.
I've actually really liked Dreamcast a lot.
There's a lot of great things about the Dreamcast. I love it.
I think it was super underrated.
But that was the problem.
I don't think it deserved the death it got. Same with the PSP, to be honest. I think the PSP was ahead of its time.
But by that point in time, Nintendo said that they weren't competing with anybody. And they really haven't been since then. Even when they're not doing great, Nintendo as a holdings company, being a toy company and stuff like that, and everything they've done, also the 50% share that they get off of the Pokemon franchise as a whole, right? Because they own half of the Pokemon company. Nintendo has so much money in the bank that they could basically screw the pooch for 3 console generations and still be fine. Just because they're making so much money off of, like, franchise stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't compete. They make more money off of franchise merchandise than they do out of any of their games.
Yeah, Nintendo's most definitely just, like, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They
They have not been competing with people. And the other people, Microsoft even realized this too, because you notice Microsoft doesn't try to compete with Nintendo anymore. In any way. Like, they're willing to fully work with Nintendo. You can play Minecraft on there. You can sign in directly with your Xbox Live. They've been talking about bringing Xbox Live as an app directly to Nintendo, though we don't know if that's ever going to see fruition. But they'd rather be cooperative because they see it as more money for them.
Yeah.
Because you can't compete with this giant.
Yeah, I've kind of liked that they've been getting along.
Yeah.
So Nintendo, I think it's really good for the gaming industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Just why is Sony stop being a fucking sourpuss?
Yeah. And so people have been complaining about Nintendo too, because as you brought up, Nintendo has not been censoring games. But people are like, no, Nintendo's still censoring games. Look what they're doing to their own games. Like, yeah. Their own games.
Yeah, it's their own.
Because
why would they censor someone else?
They want to keep that Sero rating, right? The Sero rating system in Japan, they want it to be the lowest rating, the E for everyone equivalent. So they censor their own games to keep that rating. That's why Mai Shiranui could not be in Smash Brothers, or at least they didn't do it. She has clothes that cover up. They could have put her in one of her day outfits, like when she goes on dates with Andy. They should have done that. But
gay outfits.
Well, day outfits, go to the mall or whatever.
Oh, day.
Day, yeah, I said day 3 times. When you hearing day.
I thought you said gay. Yeah. I was like, okay. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Lesbians wear pants.
Does Maya have an outfit where she wears pants?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
But oh my god.
She goes in a kimono.
I lost.
They could have had her in her kimono. That would have kept the Sero rating.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not her character.
Yeah. No, she does wear that kimono sometimes.
No, but that's not her character.
Well, people would have complained that they forced her to cover up. I just wanted her in there because Mai's my main, And it would have been cool to have her in the background like all the other King of Fighter characters.
Yeah. But,
Yeah. But, yeah, that's the thing. This is Sero rating. They want their games that are meant for that. I mean, Nintendo's not above making T for teen games either. I mean, look at the Metroid Prime series, right? Or even,
true.
Was it Brawl? One of the Super Smash Brothers games is T. And, every other one was E. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Brawl was T.
Brawl?
And I think it was mostly because of what was going on in the Subspace Emissary.
Yeah, it might have been Brawl.
But I think it was still only T here. I think it still kept its Sero rating in Japan because they have different weights, right? Different things weigh differently. And they don't care about other ones. They've been releasing age restricted, so you have to log in. You can't have a child account. You have to have a full adult account with your age verified. But they've been selling basically full hentai games on the Nintendo eShop, uncensored, because it's not a Nintendo game. They're just acting like a storefront.
Yeah, exactly.
While all these other companies have been, you heard about how they censored Devil May Cry, right?
No. What did they do?
And you can, I think they did patch it to where they censored it on the PC, but you can unpatch it using a mod, or I believe they eventually fixed it because of complaints. But what they did was there are 2 scenes, with one with each character respectively, where Lady and Trish were being saved because they were captured and being held inside of demons, and you have to kill the demons to release them, kind of like a cocoon thing. Mm-hmm. And when they spit out, they're naked.
Oh.
And it doesn't actually show anything, even on the uncensored version, right? It's from angles where the most that you ever see is the full ass, cheeks, but it never shows full frontal, or you don't even see a nipple if you're watching the uncensored version. But what they do in the censored version is effectively hentai lights, right? They use the glare to even censor out the ass cheeks and stuff like that.
Why the fuck did they censor?
Because Sony. And Microsoft followed
Like, what
suit.
did they
If you have
do?
the other
Did
version
they
of the
like put
game,
a clothes on them or something? Or
I don't know. I guess you know. Well, here's the thing, right? Sony's got these new policies where they will not publish your game if it doesn't meet these requirements. Like they will not let you put it on their system. And it now
Mhm.
actually takes like 6 months to get your game onto a system. Like you have to start this process early. And it's fucking ridiculous. A lot of people are actually thinking about not even putting their games on PlayStation because even if you fit all the requirements, it still just takes forever to get your game on it, and it's not worth the time if you're trying to time up like what they call worldwide release, where everything launches at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And because of that too, if you're gonna make your game for Sony, you're probably just gonna also have that same version for Xbox and stuff like that anyway.
Hmm.
And for the Steam version, you literally have to patch it to where it gets rid of the glare.
It's ridiculous. So wait, so the glare is the sensor.
The glare is the sensor. You can't see anything.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why, because there's like games like that have nudity in it,
Yeah.
like that are on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like there's Witcher 3, Far Cry 3, fucking GTA 5.
Yeah, but these games also all came out prior to the newer codes. Devil
Yeah,
May
I
Cry came out
guess.
after the new code. Because
But
remember,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
a
Like I don't
California
understand.
company now.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Their headquarters is in California. That explains everything to you when you know that.
yeah, that's all I needed to know. I mean, I knew it, like you said it before, but I didn't
You
like
have to
connect
actually
two and two.
actively think about it in your head. Like, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
California company.
I didn't connect two and two. I was just like, oh yeah, duh.
Yeah. Freaking
That's
Silicon
fucking
Valley
stupid.
ruining everything.
Yeah, that's really dumb. Like, why?
It's only going to get worse too. Like
We'll just stick to
they're
this.
doubling down on everything.
We can only have, if your game isn't Banjo Kazooie, we're not doing.
Oh, see, going back, Microsoft has so many things that are in their property that they should be working on, and they're just leaving them dead. Especially like
There,
Banjo is so hyped in Smash. You'd think you'd use that as an opportunity to make a new Banjo Kazooie game.
yeah, or like, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Rare's still in Microsoft, right?
Yeah,
Like the group.
yeah. They could be working on another Cameo game, which is a rare title. Cameo was pretty big on the Xbox.
I was thinking like Conkers.
Conquer, yeah.
I would love a like modern Conkers with like the same kind of multiplayer, but like more up to date.
Yeah, well,
That shit would be a lot of fun, I think.
they should just take the base for Live and Reloaded and just upscale it first.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't take much effort to upscale it, right? It's mostly just shaders because it's a very stylized, realistic-looking graphic.
Yeah,
So
they could even just like remake the multiplayer and
Yeah.
like put that alone.
Yeah, you put it free to play on the store, right? For the
Exactly.
multiplayer. And that would bring up the hype for like, oh hey, look, people want another Conquer because Live and Reloaded was originally supposed to be a sequel that kept getting scrapped because of problems in the development process. It was actually supposed to be a sequel on the GameCube prior to the Rare buyout, like they were working on it. And eventually, it got scrapped, and Microsoft just told them, hey, could you just remake this game with this multiplayer feature that you were working on for the sequel? And they did that, so they made the multiplayer mode. And then they took the same assets and just re-up the original game to work with the new assets.
Yeah, they should do that.
Yeah.
They should make it release it free, and then if it gets good results, then make a new game, or even remaster the full like Bad Fur Day. Because that's, I mean, wasn't Live Reloaded like Bad Fur Day? Or
Yeah, it was
I
Bad
don't
Fur
know.
Day, but it was focused on the multiplayer content that came in it. and Bad Fur Day was like an addition to it, like it was a bonus.
People love that game,
Yeah.
and it's one of the more rare
Oh, the thing is, I like the Xbox version.
N64.
The Xbox version is good. I shit on the 64 version.
Well, I mean, like the
reason-
campaign. Is the campaign the same?
No, it's the same campaign. The reason is that the 64 controls suck.
They do suck. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They are awful. It was.
they're
It's like their
pretty
first game too, like rare for the 64. It was before Banjo or anything like that, so
yeah, if
they were
it
kind of
would've been, like,
figuring out
more
what the fuck
Banjo,
they were doing. Yeah.
If it would have had like more of like Banjo controls. Really
Well, it's good that they made that first because then Banjo's controls didn't suck.
Exactly.
They had the
exactly.
experience. Could you imagine if they did it the other way around?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, then Conquer would just. I mean, Bad Fur Day would just be more like. It would have been a bigger game, probably.
Yeah.
Just control wise.
It might have actually reversed the popularity of Banjo and Conqueror's characters just because you're naturally going to, like, graft towards the better controlling game.
Exactly. And, like, Conquer was good. I mean, it was a good fucking game. The multiplayer was excellent.
Yeah.
And, it's just. The controls are very.
Hot garbage.
Yeah, it was very stiff. It was just, like, hard to control. That's why Banjo was so good, because it felt so good.
Yeah.
It was such like a smooth game. Same with like Mario 64. The controls are so good. Even it holds up even to this day.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the problems that you have in general when it comes to old games, right? For specific things, like I think more 64 games hold up than original PlayStation games. Not that there aren't a lot of original PlayStation games that hold up, but just on average.
Yeah,
and it's because,
mostly just RPGs, JRPGs.
Yeah. And I think it comes to the limits of the systems, right? So the problem with 64's limit was memory, with both RAM and ROM, right? The 64 needed more RAM at one point in time to be able to do some of the, just a very few of the things that it wanted to do. Like certain games need that RAM expansion, and the cartridges could only hold so much physical memory in it, as opposed to how much you could fit on a disc at that time.
Not to mention that there were multiple discs.
Yeah, the problem with PlayStation, though, and I think this is a problem that hurts it even more outside of RPGs where memory is like literally all that matters, is processing power. Because the 64 was way stronger than the PlayStation in processing power at that time. And that's not something that matters so much these days, because I think outside of graphical capability, this is why everybody's trying to constantly outcompete each other with graphics, and it's a dumb idea because your graphics are always going to look dated if that's the only thing you're going for. Because the graphics are just going to constantly keep getting better. So you go back a couple generations, and if graphics was what your big thing was,
if that was a selling point,
it's going to look jarring by comparison.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why Nintendo doesn't go for graphics. They try hyper stylized stuff that will age like fine wine.
Yeah, because like in comparison, like when it comes to, let's say it's like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And we had like Breath of the Wild, which wasn't like the greatest of graphics in comparison to other games that came out. But in like 10 years from now, we're going to go back, and it's going to look the same as those other games that had the better graphics at the time.
Yeah.
Like to us, it's just going to look the same because who knows what the fuck graphics are going to look like.
Well, it might even look better by comparison because it is a stylized game, right? So
yeah, exactly. The style's really nice.
It's like looking at a cartoon. It's always going to look the same. It's not going to be jarring by comparison. That animated water is always going to look smooth as fuck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mario Odyssey is another good example of a game that's always going to look good. You know, going back, Wind Waker, the old one, still looks good. When they did the HD,
it does. It actually really does.
Yeah, when they did the HD remake, all they did was change the shader models. I mean, they went in and tweaked some things about the gameplay, but for the image, they just took the exact same model and changed the shader on it to upscale it, and it looks great doing that because it was already a hyper stylized game that it found its mold. Like it found the way it needed to look.
One game that actually still looks fucking great is Metroid Prime.
Yeah, it does.
It still is like,
but it's also really stylized. It's just stylized in a gritty way.
Mm-hmm. I really, really, really like the graphics in that game.
Like, even when Samus takes her helmet off, she doesn't look like a real person. She looks like a CG model of, like, an anime character.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And that holds up better, right? That's why, like, and I think Square was always smart about this, too. Some of their stuff doesn't hold up as well as others. And again, I think this was limits to the first PlayStation and them trying to do things that they honestly shouldn't have been.
I think Final Fantasy X stands out.
Yeah, that's PlayStation 2.
True.
Right. I was specifically criticizing the first PlayStation when it comes to graphics, by comparison, because 7 was smarter with their overworld models and actually going with kind of like a chibi look, even though it's still, watch out for those pointy bits.
Yeah.
But 8, oh my god, 8 looks horrible when you go back and try to play the original version because everything's all pixely because they're trying to make it look like real human proportions at all times. And the only time it looks good is in a cinematic, in which they kind of have like that actual anime look to them. But that's 10. 10, they made everybody look like they're an anime character all the time.
Exactly.
And that's what works for it.
And it worked really well.
Highly saturated colors. The world is vivid and gritty at the same time because you realize you're in like this post-apocalyptic setting, but it's many generations after, so the world is still thriving. They're just dealing with this creature that attacks every so often.
9. I think 9 did pretty well for
and they stylized it too. 9, I was going to say, was the exception. 9 did more of what I thought they should have done with 7.
I just think it was so much later because 9 came out like right before
the
PS2.
change. Yeah.
So I mean, they kind of
they had Final Fantasy Tactics to work with before that too.
Yeah, Tactics. Tactics a lot.
A lot of experience.
That's one of my favorite.
But one of the problems with 7 is they actually started work on 7 to be originally a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Right? And then they started rehauling it a little bit for the 64 before PlayStation came with their deal. And then they realized...
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So a lot of these models, which is why they looked the way they did, were originally going to be 64 models. And that's why they don't look so good compressed onto the PlayStation.
They look good when they're in a fight.
The fight model's okay. They still kind of... The skeletons are the problem, right? Because you could tell that old school polygons, there's a wireframe skeleton underneath that you can't see. And then you have like bits of like the arm is its own section that's attached to where the skeleton would be.
Yeah.
So sometimes when somebody bends, you can see like the gap between things.
I was actually thinking of that when I was like visualizing like Tifa because she has like her arms up.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see it like where her elbow would be.
Yeah. Or like when she does her victory pose, you can kind of see it in her armpits too because she does like that stretch.
Yeah. I still think they're pretty good though.
Yeah, they're good. It's just they don't age well is the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Unlike Mario 64, which is a sharp game, like oh my god, those edges. But
boy,
it's not that bad though, right? Because they were trying to keep it as simple as possible. They're trying to keep that Mario look. Yeah, if anything, Mario 64 is the look we have for Mario now. Because they rechanged his proportions a bit before going into the 64, and they've kind of kept it like that since.
Yeah, that's true. That was like the birth of the new Mario.
Yeah, because Mario is not as pudgy as he used to be, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you would still say that he's overweight. Like, he definitely has that fat to him at first glance. But he looks... I don't know, overweight in like the way that you might assume Popeye might be a little overweight.
Popeye?
Yeah, it's some of the like older versions of Popeye. He's kind of got like that round stomach.
Oh yeah.
So that's what he looks like. He doesn't actually look like he's obese or anything. He looks like he's overweight in the way that a laborer
Yeah.
might be overweight, like a lumberjack or a sailor or something like
Or a
that.
plumber.
Yeah, well, he is yeah, he's a handyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just throwing out multiple examples for people. And same with Luigi. In fact, Luigi even more has like the kind of skinnier up top, kind of like that Popeye pot belly, right? But if you go back to the older versions of him, Mario was drawn pudgy as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like Pikachu.
Yeah.
Bring back chubby Pikachu.
Like newer versions of Mario, you actually have to draw all the individual parts of his body. The older version, you kind of had to do that, but you could kind of start out with like an egg shape and then fit his whole body into that egg shape. Same with the Pikachu, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, Pikachu's problem was that the same with a lot of different Pokemon. Like look how ugly Blastoise's original sprite was.
Yeah.
All of them had to fit in a square,
Yeah.
so they were stretched out to fit this square model.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like all the Pokemon fit in this square. Some of them, there's space missing. Like Farfetch'd has like a corner cut out of it, but he's still fitting the dimensions of the square. That's why he's got like the leak filling up one of the corners and stuff.
Yeah, I realized that a lot when I was back and played like Red Earth. I was like, huh, they're all kind of like in this box.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, yeah, the fucking color it in.
Electrode and Voltorb are literally just circles that fit the edges of the box.
Yeah. Man. So
all these squares make a circle.
So we were talking about graphics. We're talking about how graphics, like making a game based on graphics.
It's gonna date a game, no matter what. Like anytime that's your focus, it's going to date the game, and that you could tell that's the focus of these games too, because they're always talking about what the hardware can do now, and at no point does the hardware ever mean, oh look, you can finally play these HD games at 60 frames per second consistently on your console. That would actually be an improvement.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, oh look, you can play this game in 4K. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to be playing a game at 5 frames per second.
See, that's the sports games are like that because the whole reason to buy the new one is the graphics, pretty much.
Yeah, or an updated roster.
Yeah, or an updated roster, or maybe
which I think is extortion. For years, I thought that sports games were extortion. Because
they pretty much are.
Especially today with DLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only need to make a new sports game per company once every generation of console.
But the thing is, it's the graphics.
Yeah. Well,
so they're just like,
thing,
fuck
right?
it, we'll sell a game every year.
This is how you do it. You only run in seasons. Like, you know how there's Killer Instinct does their roster in seasons because it's a free-to-play game?
I don't.
You don't know how Killer Instinct works? Okay,
nah.
So Killer Instinct is free-to-play. And it has a character rotation. So, like, 3 or 4 characters, whatever, will be free for the week. It was 2 when it first starts out. I think they expanded to, like, 3 or 4 or whatever. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played it. But there'll be, like, a couple characters that are free every week. It'll rotate and you can play them. Or you can buy a character individually, or you could buy the whole season. And it'll be every character that comes out in that season, and then there'll be a next season with the whole roster, and they break things down year by seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could do that with a sports game and still make a fuck ton of money out of it. Because instead of selling characters individually, and you could end up getting duplicates of characters this way, but you don't care because you're just trying to make a lot of money as the company, right? You sell teams by, like, this is the 2020, I don't know, what was it? NBA was the one we mentioned earlier, right? This is the 2020 Bulls team.
I mean, they could do that,
Yeah.
but then you gotta assume that they think of themselves as a game company,
Yeah.
which they don't.
No, I'm still
just...
thinking of them as a as a graphics company, right? Because you can update the graphic of the game to keep people wanting to keep playing it. I mean, League does that, right? How many times have they had graphical overhauls? And then what you're doing as a graphics company is you're selling models. Models that, mind you don't actually have to put that much work in if you have recurring people that you're reselling. All you have to do is go into the model, copy, paste, and then slightly age it up. Which is more of a texture thing than anything. You're actually not even changing the sculpting of the model. So you're basically just reselling something for minimal effort.
I think it's just less work for them to do it the way they're doing.
No, actually, it's more work to do it this way. By far, it's more work to do it this way.
Oh, that way. Yeah.
No, the way they're doing it now, by far, is
the
more
way
work.
they're doing it now.
Yeah, it's a very inefficient way to be doing things. In fact, they're not even maximizing their profit. They could be making so much more money.
I don't know, because they're still selling DLC and shit.
Yeah, they are still selling DLC, but it's... The problem is you're also having to pay for distribution every single time you put out a physical copy of a game. So they're only maximizing their profits when people buy the digital, in this case. And they have to spend way more hours on the production of every single game than they would be doing it this way, which means you're also paying employees, which have contracts and bare minimum rates. This is very inefficient, the way they're doing it. By comparison to how they could be doing it.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to change their formula.
Oh, of course not.
They're sticking to what's working.
But like again,
they don't want to risk.
It does most of these stuff.
Yeah,
EA's a really dumb company.
True. Right? That's because they're very business oriented.
Well, they've also almost gone bankrupt several times too. So they're not even really very business oriented. They're a dumb company. Let's just straightforward.
I didn't say they were good at business.
Yeah.
They were business oriented.
They're a really dumb company. So of course they're doing things inefficiently.
Because they fucking keep doing things for money instead of for quality.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why they lose customers and fucking masses, or even like smaller companies that they own.
Mm-hmm. Well, EA also kind of basically buys companies to kill them.
Pretty much. I'm glad Respawn stood up to them and was like, "Okay, no, you're not working on this game with us at all." When it came to like Apex,
they're not the only ones to do that though. A lot of companies did that. Activision was known for it too, and for the most part, they weren't actually buying them to kill them. This is a really bad rumor that's been going around for a long time. The problem is they come in and then they buy something that's been successful. They come in and they micromanage it. And because
I'm not saying they do it on purpose, but
some people actually think they bought them literally to kill these companies, which has probably only happened, if it has happened, a handful of times, and they're always specific circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like when like a merge happens. Yeah. But when they're buying these smaller companies to work on games, it's just like...
Or they want the property. They're like, oh, well, if we give you the money, you can make the property better, it'll make us more money. But then they come and they fucking micromanage this shit.
Exactly. That's what happened with Blizzard.
Yeah, and then when you micromanage this shit, people don't get to make games the way that they used to make them good, because now you have your opinion on how the game needs to be made. The games don't sell as well. The company's not making money, so it's not worth for you to keep pumping money into it, and then you kill it, even though it's your fault they died in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what happened with like the Battlefield games.
Over and over. Guitar Hero, it happened to as well. No, I think that was on a fixed timeline anyway. They brought Guitar Hero back, but like the original crew was disbanded.
Yeah.
I don't think those games were gonna last
It
forever.
even almost happened to RuneScape.
Hmm.
Because what happened was Tencent, I think, bought RuneScape. So,
Yeah.
same company that fucked
Fucking
with
Tencent. Fucking...
yeah, fuck, I hate Tencent. They're pieces of shit. But
Yeah, well, because they're a monolith in China. They're huge.
yeah, those big Chinese companies treat their own people like fucking slaves. It's disgusting. They literally only care about money.
Yeah, and you can make some arguments, right? That as bad as the work conditions are, the living conditions for those people are still slightly better than they were before these horrible work conditions. Especially
Yeah,
because they
because they're
actually,
usually supplied with like a home, but it's
yeah.
usually like a
Well, and they're
small
also
apartment.
actually making money now. Not
Yeah,
any amount that we would see good, but the buying power for that money is better. It's just these people are worked in such crazy conditions that they kind of want to kill themselves half the time.
yeah. Well, it's also like
But it's always been
the
that way.
safety conditions, and
Yeah.
it's just like
It's
there's no
also
safe.
always been that way in the big cities in China because their cities have always been too big.
Hmm.
Right. They China's always had the biggest cities in the world throughout the history of the world. And one of the reasons for that is during development early on, there was this boon with agriculture where everybody's population started expanding at the same point, and people were already in China and like that southern Eastern Asian area
Hmm.
because it was fertile. So before agriculture really blew up with technology, you could naturally gather stuff from that area and be better off. So people were flocking there. They were the big river valley civilizations and stuff. And then after the agricultural boom, which also came with lifespans increasing, medicine, and stuff like that, everybody started expanding about the same rate. So obviously, the place that started off bigger was going to end up being much bigger than everywhere else. And if you're in the countryside in China, honestly, even for the most part, the government leaves you alone because China's too big and you can't monitor everything. But if you live
Yeah,
in the cities in China, life has kind of always been horrible.
yeah. From what I've heard, I've had a couple of Chinese friends
Yeah.
from that used to live in China, and they do not like the big. They just said the only big city that's technically part of China is Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and even that's like very like it's just overpopulated.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as the mainland, they say.
No, because even all of Hong Kong isn't even being used properly, like
Mm.
land wise. They have, which is good. They have parks and natural reserve parts on the island. It's kind of like it's kind of three cities that function as one city.
Yeah,
It's very weird the autonomous zone for Hong Kong because it is not legally considered a country. In fact, actually, China kind of just took it back
yeah.
while everybody was distracted. Which, a lot of people said was going to happen. I said it was going to happen prior to
I
us
said it
starting
was going to
the
happen.
podcast. I wish I had we were running it back when I said it was going to happen. But
Yeah, I said it was going to happen back when they started the whole COVID thing.
yeah,
I was like, they're not talking about the protests anymore.
yeah, but it's functionally a country, but
It
it's
could
really
be.
small to be a country. It just has a population of a small country, right? But it's also an island that is kind of one city, but also kind of like three different cities. It's a really weird, uh, I don't know, district. I guess you
It's
could
a,
say.
it's a GTA map, is what it is.
It is. It actually really is fun. If you ever looked at a topographical or a street map of either or of Hong Kong, it looks like a GTA map.
Yeah, it's just a GTA map. That's all.
Yeah, it's a cool area though. I would always I would love to visit.
Oh, I'd totally visit Hong Kong.
You know, preferably after it gains its freedom, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to visit China too, but I don't know. It's not the smartest thing to do.
Only like maybe like I don't
Well, if I could come in through like the northern border or something and then go to the places I want to go, that'd be fine. I really would not want to go visit China through one of the international airports or whatever, like through one of the big cities, Beijing or.
Yeah, I'd probably just go to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
London.
Well, a lot of people, even when they go to China mainland, they go in through Hong Kong.
Like Taiwan.
Yeah. No, don't you know? It's Chinese Taipei.
That's why I would go to Taiwan, because was part of China.
Yeah. Taiwan has it made though, like, because you think that Hong Kong would have a natural border that would protect it from the mainland because it's called water, but they've built a moat in between there, so there's literally like a roadway that goes between the mainland and the island.
Yeah, that was what the protests were about.
Yeah, and Taiwan
Yeah.
though has a mountain range between them, so there's like, you know, you can kind of try to take us back if you want, but we're good. Those mountains make it pretty hard.
China's made a lot of beef ever since World War II.
Man, China, you have to scroll back, man. China's been making beef since prehistory.
Well, they've been making beef with themselves though.
Yeah,
And then,
since
like,
prehistory.
Mongolia.
Like, look at the whole history of China with like the dynasties and like the romance of the Three Kingdoms and everything. China's constantly always been having a beef with China.
But like,
This is the entire history of China. Which is funny
Yeah.
because China, of course, would only really have beefs with itself as serious beefs because they think everybody else in the world is worth less than them, so they only really care about themselves. Like
it was the same
they
thing
are
with
being,
Japan up until World War II.
yeah. Like China is being imperial right now because it wants more stuff for China. They don't even care about the places they're trying to take over. They just care about getting more stuff to China proper.
Exactly.
And they've always been this way. Do you know why gold trade became a important thing throughout the world? I mean,
It's
people
worth
don't know
the
this.
same everywhere.
Well, it became worth the same everywhere. Gold used to only really have like spiritual and aesthetic value to it for most of history, right?
Yeah.
Gold became the major currency because silver was China's currency. And for a long time, and this is why most coins were made out of silver, right? And people ask, do you have any silver? That's actually a much older phrase than if you have any gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why we still color our coins to look silver now. For most of history, people traded silver because China really has been the market for all of human history, and our history books kind of whitewash that out.
Yeah.
And people started looking for gold because they were trying to find a way around China. That's the real reason. I mean, heck, you talk about China's influence. The Crusades were fought over China. And people don't understand, right? Because they think it was strictly a religious thing. It became a religious thing because that's how you get people to fight wars. But when you actually look at the reason for it, the major trade route in between Europe and China had to pass right through Jerusalem
Yep.
and the Holy Land.
So
And the
cool.
Muslims set themselves up as like, nah, we're not letting you through. Unless you want to pay our hefty taxes to use the, was it the Spice Road or whatever, right?
Silk Road.
The Silk Road, yeah. And he's like, you have to pay our hefty taxes if you want to use it. And the different kings, governors that got together, and they were talking with the Vatican, and they're like, hey man, we can't let this thing happen. Like, we can't put up with this shit. And they were looking for a way to get rid of it, so it's like, we start a holy war. We'll reclaim the Holy Land. And it's not like it was hard to convince them. The Turkish
Yeah, it's
people
not
had
like
been
they
sacking.
already-
They had been sacking nearby areas anyway. So even though they were letting people go through for tariffs, it's not like they were being pleasant people in their own territory. They were constantly coming into like France and there's the Moors invasion of the Mediterranean and everything. That's why Mediterranean people are kind of darker than the rest of Europe,
Yeah.
except for Portugal,
Italian.
which is like even Italy is kind of darker compared to like Portugal, which is like kind of like the whitest people. Well, the Sicilians all they were safe on their island.
Well, there's a lot of African blood in Sicilian.
Yeah, but it's that more influence is why that olive skin tone came to be throughout the Mediterranean.
Turkish.
Yeah, they had basically conquered the entire Mediterranean area of Europe, like France and Italy and Spain and stuff. The Portuguese were fine because there's a mountain range, going back to natural borders between Portugal and Spain. You're not crossing that mountain range. The only way to invade them is to go off into the sea and then come back out. And who wants to attack Portugal by sea? That's a death sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they've been sacking people for a really long time. It's not like it was exactly hard to convince people to join this war.
Yeah, they were pissed.
Yeah.
And they took the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah. It's our grail now.
The Holy Gold Grail.
But the real thing, they weren't even fighting it over the sacking. That's what people fail to realize. It was all about trade with China.
I mean, it's a big thing to
Yeah.
fight about. Pretty important.
And India.
China had gunpowder and
India's always been China's
all types
biggest
of shit.
competitor. Still is.
Sure is. I don't want to say anything, but they're very similar places. I'll say that.
Very, in many ways. India is better, though.
They both have
in
really
many
good
ways.
food.
Yeah.
And
They both struggle to feed their people.
that's it. They both have really good food.
Dude, I think India's going to be in a hot war with China soon.
I would love that.
And
That sounds really bad.
I know. And I think
but
we're probably
they
getting dragged into it, too.
But they have so many people. They both have so many people.
Yeah, like, on official records, they're actually really close. Because India's, like, 1.1 billion, and China officially is, like, 1.5 or 7, I don't remember, billion.
All I know is they're over 1 billion.
China actually might even be well over that, though. That's just the official documentation. They might be anywhere between 2 to 3 billion. We're really not sure. India is so bureaucratic that we're pretty sure the number they tell us is vaguely correct. Like, obviously, when it comes to counting people, anything in the hundreds range, maybe even up to the thousands, is a crapshoot. Like, yeah, whatever. But once you get into the 10,000s range, we're pretty sure whatever number they give us is correct. China, on the other hand, you can't really trust anything China says.
Not many of us kidding, but at least what we're eating tastes great. True. But even the traditional food is, like, not that great.
No, like, the stuff we like from China is not even Chinese food. It was stuff that was invented in San Francisco.
I mean, but there is, like, I've had, like, actual Chinese food.
Dude, Chinese porridge is fucking great, though. Like, I love their,
it's like, their porridge is just, what's it called? Kanji, right?
Yeah, Galji? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have different things. It's not just that, but yeah. A few different porridges.
I've never had it.
And they're both big on curry. In fact, there's
Yes.
always a huge debate on where curry comes from, whether it's India or China, and the answer is yes.
Answer is yes. I like Japanese curry.
Yeah. But clearly even the Japanese, which they all have shared heritage, right?
Yeah.
But their curry comes from Mongolia.
Don't tell the Shintoists that.
Yeah. Well, because, the Japanese heritage comes from
Oh, I
Mongolia.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the actual Japanese heritage.
Yeah.
Saying don't tell the Shintoists
Yeah.
they are from the sun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are from the sun. But yeah,
Sun.
Mongolian porridge, which then Mongolia would have, or curry, and then Mongolia got their curry from China proper anyway. So the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think China and India just go to war. I think that'd be. They'd be fighting for so long. Like that's it. Like they'd just be
Yeah, if you
fighting
want
for
to talk
so
about a
long.
Cold War, right, and proxy wars, there are no two nations on the planet that have had more Cold Wars and proxy wars than China and India.
Let me look at. Hold on. Let me look at the map real quick. Poor Nepal.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. I was like, well, who's in the middle? Because in Tibet. Well, Tibet's still part of China.
Yeah. Well, that's why like all these middle areas have suffered because they're right between the two.
Hmm. Yeah.
And one of the reasons they've always had to do proxy wars like this too is there's again a really big natural blockade between India and China called the Himalayas.
The Himalayan.
Yeah, and it's like you can't really march on each other. So if you want to get to each other, you have to go through proxies.
Someone needs to just knock those mountains down.
Yeah, let's
Just
get rid
flatten
of.
them.
Well, okay, what if we get rid of what's it called? Everest, right? Then it'll no longer be the tallest mountain in the world,
True.
right? And that'll go to what's the second one? Is it like Kilimanjaro or something like that? It's like in
Second
Africa,
tallest.
or is it in South America? There's a couple different ones. I just don't
K2.
K2. Where's K2?
I know K2 is a drug. It's another one in China, Pakistan. That's still the Himalayas.
There's still the Himalayas. What happens if we get rid of the whole Himalayas?
Chu. Okay, is this another? Yep, that's Nepal. They're all the fucking Himalayas are so goddamn tall.
They are.
All the best mountains are there.
Yeah, that's why we had a DuckTales level based off of it. You're basically up in the clouds. You couldn't tell the difference between the clouds and the snow.
Tallest mountain
Not in the
Himalayas.
Himalayas. We're sorry, your search does not exist.
Oh, Hawaii.
Hawaii. Ooh, so we would have it if we flattened the Himalayas.
Actually, it says technically Mount Everest isn't the tallest. It's that one because of sea level.
Yeah.
But it's underwater.
I don't care, man. Flatten the Himalayas.
Alright, bomb the Himalayas.
America's number one.
America number one. Just drop a bunch of big dynamite sticks. Big Acme dynamites.
Oh, it gotta be the Acme, because that's the
Himalayas.
only ones that actually have the blasting power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just fucking flatten the Himalayas.
Flatten the whole thing.
And then they could just fight. And hand-to-hand combat. And then broken fucking guns.
Broken guns. Ugh. So, semi-natural segue.
Yeah, how
Because,
the fuck did we get to...
you brought up Japan and Shinto, so that's a good way. I want to talk about this anime that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm a big fan of Rumiko Takahashi's work. Like, she's probably my favorite mangaka, or for those who aren't weebs, manga creator. And probably her most known work was Inuyasha. It's not my favorite, even though I do really like Inuyasha. I'm more of a Ranma 1/2 guy. but it's the most popular work that she's done. And Inuyasha is getting a spin-off series this fall, directly to anime, no manga or anything, which I'll go into my gripes momentarily as to why I'm skeptical about how good this might be. But it's called Hanyo no Yashahime, which is the princess half-demon. Which, the Hime right there is princess. And it is about the children of Sesshomaru and Inuyasha getting together. Apparently, there's something about their blood where one generation, their parents are only going to have sons, and then the next generation, they're only going to have daughters. Whatever, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. And the major plot for it is that Sesshomaru's got a set of twins that they do. It is often the thing in Japan where, despite the fact that they're twins, they'll refer to them as older and younger, which could, I guess, confuses people outside of Japan very much. Like with Mario and Luigi, they're twins. They've always actually been canonically twins, which makes sense because Luigi's name is Ruigi, which just means the same or similar, because he was a color palette.
Luigi Mario.
Yeah, they're twins. But they always refer to Mario as the older one, Luigi's the younger one, because that's just how you do it in Japan for the most part. And they even confirmed this in Yoshi's Island, where both of them are being brought by the stork at the same time.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, Sesshomaru has a set of twins, where one's the older sister, one is the younger, called Towa and Setsuna.
Oh, I was hoping it was Krakow.
Towa and Kraka.
Yeah.
Towa. And the basic plot is that the two twins get separated. They're each half demons, obviously, from each other during like this forest fire. And while searching for Setsuna, Towa wanders through a tunnel that works a lot like the well that Kagome fell into, and ends up in modern day Japan, where she is found by Kagome's brother Sota and his family, and I'm guessing is kind of raised by them for the next 10 years. And then as she goes back into the tunnel, ends up being reunited with Setsuna, but Setsuna doesn't remember her at all, or anything about their past. She's just a demon slayer working for Kohaku. And they end up working together to try to like reclaim their past or whatever. They end up meeting up with Moroha, and Moroha is Inuyasha and Kagome's child. So it's just like the three of them wandering around Japan, going back and forth between feudal and modern day. And pretty much all their names have something to do with, like, time. Like Towa, Setsuna, and stuff like that.
Huh.
So
that actually...
Yeah, it's an interesting plot.
Yeah, it actually sounds really interesting. I actually might have to look into it.
Well, I've seen all of Inuyasha so many times that I feel obligated.
I haven't watched all of Inuyasha, and I was kind of like... I watched it when I was younger, but then, like, I became, like, jaded, and I was like, oh, this is a girl anime. But,
the thing
I
is,
liked it.
It ran in Shonen. Not Jump, it was a weekly Shonen or whatever, but it ran in a Shonen magazine, same with Ranma, right? They are considered young boy works. Like Dragon Ball and stuff like that.
But that's the thing, is like I don't know, I liked it when I was younger.
Oh,
but when I got like to my teenage years, I was just like,
brief reprise, because Buck typed something in the chat that said Luigi isn't listening because he's allergic to mountains. So let me do this.
Well, that's why we're getting rid of them.
I can't. I'm allergic to mountains.
Luigi, you're not really allergic to mountains. Yeah, it's just a dream you had. You can't be allergic to mountains, Luigi.
Well, I love it. That
Fucking
that
idiot.
line is from the very first episode of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, where the Birdo ends up kidnapping Toad and taking her up to her nest because she thought it was her child. And yes, this Birdo is 100% a woman, and for some reason can fly.
Why is this has to be an inside joke? Why every fucking podcast he brings up horror manga?
Oh, okay. I'll explain that at the very end of this.
Okay.
That'll be, I guess, a somewhat interesting story. But
Because it's everyone.
what's he getting at? Okay, back to Inuyasha, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my gripe with this, it does sound like a very good plot. It looks like it's going to involve the time travel a lot more than Inuyasha had, which they did go back and forth to the present a little bit, especially later on. Kagome was taking her school exams because for some reason, this time tunnel, like the well, was synced up to a very specific spot in Japan, like in feudal Japan. So time moved together. So it was like you would always travel that exact distance in time. So if you spent a week in feudal Japan, the amount of time, like the, I don't know, 1,000-year difference would move a week forward to where you would arrive back in modern day. It was always like this exact jump period that was moving with you.
Yeah.
So she had to come back in time to take her exams for school and stuff, and Inuyasha would show up, and they'd force him to wear like a baseball cap to cover up his dog ears. And they're kind of almost filler arcs, in a sense, that really didn't contribute to the plot moving along. This, though, it seems like the entire intent is centered around the whole time travel thing. They bring it up a few times in the plot breakdown. And it even says the three young women travel between the two eras on an adventure to regain their missing past. So, with the names and that, you're probably going to see them go through the tunnel back and forth. Maybe there might be more than one tunnel since the well was kind of a tunnel in the first place. So there might be multiple ones. But my gripe is that from what I'm reading, Rumiko is only doing the character designs. And there's no manga to base this off of. Right? We have, what's his name? Teruo Sato, who was the episode director for Inuyasha, is working on it. You also have Katsuyuki Sumisawa, which did scripts for Inuyasha and Gundam Wing. And you even have Yoshihito Hishinuma, who did adaptations for Rumiko's work back on the original Inuyasha anime. But all Rumiko is the main character designer. So the plots and the scripts and stuff, I think, are mostly out of her hand. Without having the manga for the base, it leaves me very skeptical as to how good this will be.
Yeah.
But they did tease this, though, apparently, in this last week, right? Because she's working on a manga called Mao, M-A-O. Which I believe is actually just M-A-O, because they're all capitalized, I believe. I haven't read it, but it might be like an acronym for something. So obviously she's too busy to be making a manga, or even writing scripts for Inuyasha. Even though Rumiko's kind of a powerhouse. I think at one point in time, because Inuyasha ran from 96 to 2008, right? I think she was making Rumik, which is a graphic novel series, at the same time as Inuyasha. while getting all the things out on schedule. Because roommate,
Maybe she just like trusts the person who's writing it.
maybe. And if that's the case, I mean that puts a little more faith into it. But
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I'm trying to like see the positive. You know, I mean the what might be a positive.
yeah,
I don't really go into things expecting the best, so
yeah, I try not to
'cause I
expect
don't
the
want to be
worst
disappointed.
either. Actually, I could show the character designs on the stream. Let me pull up my browser real quick because I have the article up in front of here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's one of Sesshomaru's daughters. It's Toa. Then you have Setsuna and Moroha, which is Inuyasha's daughter. And with the dog ears too, you could tell right away. And then it's got a bow on her back, which Kagome was using the bow and arrow. It's like this very, very clearly Inuyasha's child, without a second glance, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I've been let down by quite a bit of like anime sequels and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to be let down, especially like I don't. Did we complain about this already? Just how much I hate Dragon Ball Super.
We have.
Yeah,
And
I don't want to
that's
dig
kind
too
of the
much
reason
into it.
I don't want to watch it, just because it's like I've heard from like the actual like people who opinion trust.
Yeah, or
that
even
it's
freaking
not.
Boruto has problems too, and I was never the biggest fan of Naruto.
Yeah, I'm not a Naruto person.
I didn't even start liking the story much at all until Shippuden. But even then, Shippuden was kind of like the war arc sucked because the war arc kind of turned Madara into this complete loser. It's like this was like the big bad, and now he's like running around just trying to fight this one guy he's got a hard on for, only to be basically put into his place. It's like, what are you guys doing? Oh, so bad. He runs up to me.
I more prefer. My words are all mixed up. I prefer shorter animes.
Yeah.
In my like I just if it has like a few seasons.
Oh well, then you're probably not going to watch this
really
one
enjoy them.
because if it's successful, it's probably going to go on as long as Inuyasha did.
The thing, if I watch it from the beginning,
You
like
keep
when
up
it
with
comes
it.
out,
Yeah.
I usually keep up with it. Yeah.
Because
But,
Inuyasha
like-
was like what? It was 167 for the original, and then final act was 26 episodes. So it was like 195, right? Or yeah. No.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
that's I don't know if I'd be able to go back and watch it. Because
193. I don't know if 193 episodes.
if it, oh my god, even if I'm enjoying the show, it's like hard for me to watch something that long.
Yeah.
Just like it's
Well,
hard for me to keep my.
I've
attention.
watched through Inuyasha multiple times, but that's mostly because I've always had insomnia. Like always, I'd often get like 1 to 2 hours of sleep, maybe at most 4 during high school.
Yeah.
And at 4 o'clock and 4:30 in the morning, every single weekday, Adult Swim or Cartoon Network, whatever was actually the block at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember when Adult Swim actually stopped, at what time of night. But at like 4 and 4:30 in the morning, Inuyasha would come on.
Yeah.
2 episodes back to back in order, all the way
Yeah,
through.
that's when I would. That's where I would watch most of Inuyasha was on Adult Swim.
And I would pretty much catch it every single night. Just because I was already up, probably drawing or working on something at that time. And I don't know. I really liked Inuyasha. I used to draw in that style a lot too. I don't anymore.
I
Very
actually
simplistic.
Inuyasha was one of the first animes that I actually enjoyed watching. Like I didn't even really watch Cowboy Bebop because it wasn't kind of like I feel like Cowboy Bebop's more of like a mature setting.
It is.
Like it's very serious
It's a
ish. Like
space
there's
opera.
funny moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's like funny moments and stuff, but um to me as like a kid it
Well,
was
it's like Star
boring. I
Wars,
mean
right?
I love it. I love it now. It's
Star
fucking
Wars
one of
is
my
a space
top anime.
opera, and the whole space opera genre is it's a serious setting. Like the stakes of whatever's going on is very serious,
Yeah.
but none of the stuff that's happening in it is that like it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah. For sure.
Though I don't. I prefer not to refer to Cowboy Bebop as a space opera. It's a space jazz. Yeah.
Yes.
And it kind of
100%.
it's almost like a freeform jazz session in many ways.
I love Cowboy Bebop so much, but
I do too.
like I liked it. I liked it when I was younger, but it was like couldn't keep my attention that much. And as you know, Inuyasha has like a lot of fights and it had demons and stuff,
And a lot of
and
just
it was
interesting things. Like
bad.
it's comedy all the time too. When they're not in a battle, they're always doing some type of gag. Like you have Miroku hitting on chicks and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that was like one of my the earliest ones that like actually caught me. I mean, of course, it was like Pokemon, but I mean, like that was popular with every.
Yeah,
And then there was Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho,
yeah.
all those.
Well, like I said,
But
I've always been a fan of Rumiko Takahashi's work. Like my favorite
yeah,
anime of all time is Ranma One Half, which
yeah,
is
I remember watching. I'm pretty sure. I think Ranma was on early Toonami, wasn't it?
no, Ranma was not ever allowed on Earthly Toonami, but that's also because Ranma in girl form will flash her tits like once an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what was it? There was I remember there was a show that was like
There's
on.
a similar. There was a harem, which I can go back to what I said I was going to explain to you. There was a harem show called Tenchi Muyo
Yes,
that was on early Toonami,
that's the one. That's
which
what I was thinking.
is more mature in some ways because it's almost up to the Yu Yu Hakusho level of maturity.
Mhm.
But it is less perverse than Ranma. It's less of a comedy. A lot of the perversion in Ranma is for comedic effect.
Yeah,
But yeah, Tenchi Muyo, which I really enjoy the Tenchi series. That many people just there's a specific part of it called Tenchi Universe, but people often just refer to the whole series as the Tenchi Universe because each section, some of them are directly connected, some of them are kind of like only thematically connected, almost like these characters are a troop in a Mario sense that you just use over and over again.
yeah.
But there's like Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi in Tokyo, Tenchi Limited. There's like a whole series of Tenchi stuff.
I just remember because it was like really what was it like probably like 97, 98,
Yeah.
and I just remember they were like they said like damn, and I was
Yeah.
like oh, they said damn on Cartoon Network because it wasn't it was Tsunami, it wasn't Adult Swim,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like whoa, they said damn.
Yu Yu Hakusho as well.
Yeah, that was the first one
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah.
Was Yu Yu Hakusho.
I'm trying to remember the original lineup though, because Yu Yu Hakusho was second generation or like the second set of shows.
Mm-hmm.
The original lineup, I believe, was Dragon Ball Z. Obviously, they didn't actually start back with what we know as Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Ronin Warriors, and Reboot for some reason wasn't the original 4-show lineup for Toonami.
Uh,
And then the second generation had both Tenchi and Yu Yu Hakusho in it.
on here it says the first one was Voltron, Johnny Quest, Thundercats.
Well, I'm talking about when they started doing the anime stuff.
Anime, yeah.
Because I remember when
true,
they started
true.
that. Yeah. No, because Toonami actually does predate when they started doing anime.
They also had Gundam Wing.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I loved fucking Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing is my favorite.
Yeah. That was another one that kind of caught me, but I didn't watch it too much.
Yeah. Well, that you talk about mature shows, right? Gundam is a very mature series in the regard of it's literally a show about politics.
Mm-hmm.
There's giant mechs fighting each other, and that's cool and all, but that's not what the show's about. It's about the internal politics of everything going on.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. And if you're not into... Like, if you like Game of Thrones, in the sense that you like the politics in it, and like the literal actual Game of Thrones that's been going on, then they're a person who would like Gundam. It's really hard to hold the attention of most children.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I probably liked it because I was reading about mythology and world history since I was a very young kid, and most of those stories are about politics in some way or form.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a strange territory to me. But I knew a lot of people that just could not get into Gundams. Like, oh yeah, I like it when the robots are on the screen, but that's about it.
I'd probably enjoy it. I like
the
politicized thing.
Yeah, you'd probably enjoy it more now that you're older.
Yeah, exactly. But back then I don't think that's why I didn't like it. I just think or I didn't need. It's not that I didn't like it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I just didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Because usually when Toonami came on, it was like later in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Well, it was the after-school block. Like, they would have several episodes. It would start usually about 4-ish this time. So where you are now, that would be like...
That would have been like 5.
Yeah. Because they wanted to make sure everybody's out of school. And obviously back then, it would have been also 4 and 5 for Pacific and Mountain because they had 2 different channels that were just slightly off sync for which half of the country you're in. And they want to make sure all the people are out of school. It's the after school block. And by like 4 to 5, it would end 2 hours later if you've got 4 episodes crammed back to back. So then it'd be done basically for dinner time for most people. Or maybe you can even eat dinner while watching it, depending on how your household went.
Yeah, that's usually the thing. It was like dinner time. So I remember that a lot.
It'd probably just be your bad luck that Gundam happened to happen exactly when your family decided to eat dinner.
Yeah, that's probably why. Because I would catch it like every now and then, but it was like I didn't get to watch it a lot.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing that always got me. It confused me how early people ate because I came from a family, especially my dad coming home from work, having to drive basically from the very south side of Dallas proper down to the far south side of Dallas County. So sometimes he'd get home 7 to 9 o'clock. And we would not eat until he got home.
Oh yeah, no, my family was we were old late eaters too.
Yeah.
When it came to dinner, so I don't know. Maybe I just was outside or some shit.
Maybe,
I just like was hanging out with my friends or playing video games even. Because I don't remember. I think most of the cartoons I watched was either on the weekends, maybe like right after school, or like late.
Dude, G Gundam, that's the chibi one, right? I hate that one.
G Gundam? I have no idea.
Yeah, so I think that's the one I'm thinking of, and it came on Toonami later on, like one of the later blocks. I think I was already in high school by the time that was happening, and it was a complete CG show, if this is the one I'm thinking of. And they were like chibi, and the Gundams were people, like they were alive type thing. They wasn't somebody
G
piling
Gundam,
up.
here it is.
Is that the chibi one?
I don't.
Or is that the because there's two that happened close to the same time, and I can never remember which one's which. There was one that was a chibi one, and there was one where it was basically like Zoids. It was like a sport, and the guy got into a full body suit inside the Gundam, and the Gundam would do like his actions, and it was like combat.
Superior Defender Gundam Force? Is this
That
what you're talking about?
maybe.
This is definitely what you were talking about. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Mobile G Gundam was the other one where he's inside the suit. No, that one's fine. It's the Superior Gundam Force one that I don't like.
Yeah, no, this is definitely the one you're talking about.
No, G Gundam's fine then. I always get those two confused on which one was the name. My only problem with G Gundam was that it shouldn't have been a Gundam show. That's it.
I don't know much about Gundam, even though
I
said, I was really
had
interested in it. I just never went
So,
back and.
G Gundam was like a combat sport, right?
Mhm.
Now I got the right one in my head, and the people would be in suits inside the Gundam, and they would be basically gladiator fighting each other in these giant mechs. And it was a cool concept. I just don't think it should have been attached to the Gundam brand. It should have just been its own independent thing. Because when you go into Gundam...
Oh, I was gonna say it's probably just because Gundams look cool.
Well, it's not
And
just that. It's a brand name. It sells. Yeah. But it really wasn't like the full-on war in like complicated politics type show that is typically Gundam. And that's been my problem with Gundam in general, is that there's been too many of these things like G Gundam and Superior Gundam Force and stuff that has really just watered down the name.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want my full-scale space mech wars. Specifically space. Because as we've talked before, mechs don't really make that much sense on land.
Yeah.
I mean, it's suspension of disbelief or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It still looks cool, but they don't really make that much sense. Code Geass kind of subverted this in a way, because the bottom of them have wheels, so they actually kind of like skate around. But you'd still have the problem of, like, if you tip this thing over, how's it going to get back up? Right? Like, it's not a very efficient design when gravity's involved and how big and heavy these things are. And in space, though, it becomes a very efficient design, though. Because you can adjust thrusters very easily just by moving body parts. Lasers are a very important way that how space battle would go, like heating up a hull, because it's hard to get rid of heat in space, and it would be harder to heat up something with a non-uniform shape that's constantly moving. Like in space, a Gundam make a lot, or just mechs in general make a lot more sense. They don't really make that much sense on the surface of a planet.
I mean, at that point though, why not just use ships?
Well, again, there's the benefit of having the non-uniform shape that's constantly moving.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, because most of them don't think about this when it comes to how they animate or they draw their stuff. But in real life, like I said, lasers are probably going to be the most important thing to space battle. And it's going to be...
I think mechs would be more useful as tools rather than weapons.
Oh, I don't even know if they'd be that useful as tools, though, when you think about it, though, because just having like a crane or something that's built in a stable shape that already is specialized for that job. It's like I get there's the appeal of like the power suit from Alien, right? Which I know that's a lot of what people go to with their head. But that
Yeah.
even that is a very inefficient machine that looked more cool than what you'd actually use it for.
I mean, if they made it where it was more, because like
Tank treads, you could
we already had a whole podcast about
talk. Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
but
Well, it's kind of like the people who did the mech fight in real life, which was
yeah,
horrible. But they used tank treads, right,
yeah, for the
with a large
American
base, and
part.
that makes sense because what you're trying to do is you're trying to weigh it down, spread the center of gravity down as wide and low as possible.
Um, Armored Core actually
Yeah,
was
Armor
a pretty
Core
good.
does a lot of really good mech designs.
Yeah, a lot of them are like, if they have legs, they're usually floating,
Yeah.
so they're not really on the ground, really, except for when they're still.
But
But
that's the again, it goes back to the suspension of disbelief. Gundams work well in a planet because Gundams can fly indefinitely for no reason. Right?
for no reason.
Well, they've got jets, but it's like, where's all this fuel, right?
Yeah, where
Like
the fuck's the?
how
I
are
can
how
only
are
assume. I can only assume that they have some kind of new fuel,
yeah,
like kind of like
something that's like
how,
physically impossible for us to actually have.
yeah, kind of like how in Futurama they use like dark matter as space
Yeah,
fuel, and
but the
it like
problem is
lasts for such a long time.
yeah, yeah, and the problem is like, okay, I can understand how you can get a lot of energy out of this. Where's your propulsion though? Right? Especially in Futurama, they actually use jet propulsion or like rocket propulsion, right? You see the jets come out of the back.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like that's fine for energy burning this dark matter. Where's the matter for this propulsion actually coming from though? Right? So the problem with rockets is that you use nearly all of your fuel leaving the atmosphere,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
it's
that's the
because you
thing.
need actual matter to push you up. So
I don't
that's the thing. Unless so if they have some type of bullshit quantum propulsion that allows them to go up without having to move matter underneath them, right? Which again, that's the suspension of disbelief there, right? To an extent. But if you're trying to talk about practicality, how do these Gundams just fly forever? Where's the fuel for propulsion coming from? Where's the actual matter that they're pushing underneath them? Not as big
I
of a
mean,
problem
isn't
in
it like
space because you use minimal fuel
air?
to accelerate in space,
Yeah.
right? But to accelerate in an atmosphere and to lift yourself up and stuff, it takes quite a bit because you actually have to subvert your entire mass in mass every time you go up, right? Like the amount of matter that you put down doesn't have to be equal to your mass, but the force that you're sending it down has to be able to subvert your weight.
You
Now,
know,
if you have
that's
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
it's a very complicated thing. You know, this is literally rocket science.
See, this is one thing that Evangelion actually does right, is that they only have limited time
Yeah,
in the Evas, but the Evas aren't technically robots,
no, they're not.
so it's even. But
It's dumb in a
if they were
completely different
robots,
way.
but if they were
Yeah.
robots, like that would be realistic because it would use a lot of fucking fuel.
Yeah,
A lot of energy, and just in general, because I think they like charge them up or something. But
yeah. So
um,
especially for ground movement, right?
hmm
That would be easier to fuel. You could have a
yeah,
mix of like, obviously you wouldn't want solar power to be the option outside of charging stations
yeah,
because you would crack the solar panels. You'd have all kinds of problems. You can't if your thing's constantly moving. You can't guarantee that the panel will always be facing the sun for maximum charge.
yeah.
But there's all kinds of different ways. You could have a nuclear reactor on the inside of these things to give it energy for movement, right?
I think that's kind of how they do it in Mech Warrior.
Yeah.
Is that they have like nuclear reactors, which if Mech Warrior is probably the most realistic mechs in any genre or any fucking mech media.
Yeah, for sure. Mech Warrior is probably the go-to for making things realistic as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely like a mech simulator.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evangelion actually kind of makes sense, and that's kind of why it works on the surface.
Yeah.
Because they're not robots, they're so falling down is like whatever.
Yeah. Well, because Evangelion also got like other things going for it, like the parallels to the mystical side of stuff, which is what makes it work a bit better.
Exactly. The fact that it's a biological thing, is like what makes it work.
I think that's also what the advantage that, and you could tell this series was taking a lot from Evangelion, is Eureka 7. Which the name is kind of spelled like Eureka, but it's pronounced
Eureka.
It's spelled Eureka, but it's pronounced Erica. Because that's just how you. Yeah, that's how.
I'm pretty sure the show was on Sci-Fi for a while.
It was.
Yeah.
It's just because that's how the Japanese pronounce that word. It's her name.
I always thought it was Eureka.
It's spelled Eureka, but it's pronounced Erica.
Yeah, I actually got this show mixed up with Evangelion.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between it, except in that show, the girl is in symbiosis with the mech.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because she's kind of like a plant thing or whatever. It's very weird, the lore to that show. And the reason it works is because the main character, the guy, is kind of forming like a bond with the girl. I say plant, but not like in the plant kind of way, like grass or whatever. More like in the Trigun type of way. Which you need to watch so many anime just to get references to stuff. It's a culture all on its own.
I actually, I used to watch a lot of Trigun, but now I can't remember shit, dude.
Plant as a power source, I think, is the way they're using it, like a power plant.
Power.
But yeah, so he's like forming a bond with her, and that's what makes everything work. Like he is forming like this romantic relationship with the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has the symbiosis with the mech itself. It's a very complicated show.
Yeah, it's definitely. It definitely does take.
Much like Evangelion, it tries to appear deeper than it actually is.
I still like Evangelion, but
yeah, it's the fan base that I hate though, because I think it's an okay show. Right? There's nothing bad with it. But the fan base, you're like, oh my god, this is like the deepest show. This is the epitome of mech anime.
It's kind of praised as like the like Holy Bible.
Yeah.
Which kind of fits.
Yeah, because there's angelic themes and stuff in it. But the themes are all like the actual depth to that series comes to the character interactions, right? Like the actual
best part of the show is the music in general.
Yeah, but like the interpersonal relationships are where the actual philosophical depth of that show comes from. Everything else, like all the biblical allegories and stuff, don't even fit with the themes of the show on the interpersonal level. Like it's all just surface level deep of like, isn't this a cool thing? Isn't this a cool thing? It does not parallel the philosophy of the series. And that's my problem with the fans. Like, oh, look how deep the show is. It's like, it's deep in this regard, but you guys are throwing like turds at the wall hoping a gem is hidden in one of them. When like these biblical allegories and stuff have absolutely nothing to do with the actual philosophy that's going on in the show. It's not
I've
that
already
deep.
said how much I hated both endings.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the memes, but fuck the. God, I hated both endings so much. It was such a fucking disappointment. I was like, oh. I mean, I know people love it, but I do not.
Have you ever heard the Evangelion theme mixed with Master
The
Exploder?
Master Exploder. Yes.
Yes. Dude, that thing's great.
Have you heard the Four Kids Lost Evangelion theme?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite. Get in the robot. Your dad loves you. Get in the robot. It's one of my favorites. God, it's so good. But
Shinji, I swear to God, if you don't get in that goddamn mech.
Shinji is such a fucking bitch, dude.
Dude, I hate that character so much.
Dude, he's such a bitch. And then it's like, shit, I don't know, dude. It's so weird. It gets to the point later on where it's just like, the end, the movie, the end of Evangelion was like, that whole fucking movie was like I felt like I was like high, and I couldn't like keep track of it. Like that's what it felt like watching it.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then the ending was just like, oh,
like comparing protagonists and shit like that, right? Because Shinji sucks so much.
Shinji and Deku have a lot in common.
But like, if you were to put him next to, say, the standard protagonist model for Gundam, night and day differences, right? Because your standard Gundam protagonist is, there was a war going on. My family died in the war when I was like 10, and it scarred me. But instead of being a little bitch about it, I became a freedom fighter, and now I pilot a Gundam.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Shinji's character is kind of realistic in a sense because it's just like gets pulled out of school to fucking pilot this giant beam. But like, he's such a bitch the whole time.
Yeah.
About it. And
it's almost like, I mean, he does eventually harden up, but it takes forever. It almost feels like he never
the only times I like him as a character is when he's pissed.
Yeah.
Is when he's like being an asshole. Pretty much.
We're running
just because.
Oh, he wants me to explain the Haramanga thing to you. Okay, so Evan's a buddy of mine that I know from several different chats, circles that I got involved with from making comics and stuff like that. And he likes to challenge people to duels that he has absolutely no intention on participating in on his side. And in the middle of one of our other buddies' streams, me and this dude, Elric, we're talking about how we're participating in the Tezuka manga contest.
Yeah.
And somehow the topic of harems came up. And he decided to challenge us to a harem manga contest. I think it's probably because I even said that I can make a way better harem manga than Evan could. And I could. I stick to that. I know for a fact I can make a way better harem manga than Evan could. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. But he intentionally challenged us to fit the deadline to match the contest that we're already working on. That actually has a prize and much higher stakes. Because he said by September 1st, which is the deadline for the Tezuka manga contest.
Sounds like he just wants you guys to make harem manga, so he. So.
No. He wants us. He wants to challenge people to duels that they'll bitch out on, so he could just say he won.
Oh well.
Yeah. Just kind of a cowardly.
See, when I do stuff like that, it's kind of like a way to hype them up
Yeah.
and make them do something more.
Well, he
'Cause I
kind
do
of does
shit all
that
the
too.
time.
He was challenging our buddy Rick to do the fan art thing, but it was more to make fun of him. It was like to see if people could actually tell what characters he was drawing, like the whole 6 fan arts thing that was going on.
See, I can't draw for shit. You can't
Yeah.
challenge me to anything that has to do with drawing.
But he's mostly
So
dueling
fucking-
people because he doesn't expect them to actually respond, and he's going. It's a troll thing, right? He was going making all these assets, like these like wanted posters and official challenge transcripts with letterheads and stuff like that, like a telegram. I applaud him for his effort. He goes through a lot of effort for this stuff. It's funny. It's
Yeah, he's
probably
always bringing it up.
it's probably not worth his time, but hey, you know, you get a laugh out of it. Who cares?
That's the whole reason. It's not even like a.
Just get a laugh out of it, yeah.
It's not even like a fucking. I don't know, man. Anytime, anywhere, anytime. Man. So that's the whole reason he comes in here every podcast and brings up harem manga. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that.
It was like his original one was 56.5-page manga. Which already tells you how arbitrary this contest is, right? That you would say 56.5 page. And so it's a page and a half longer than the Tezuka manga contest. And then Elric playing in, baiting in, lowered it down to 30 because that's your standard OGN length in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, sure, I'll laugh around. I'm not working on this until I finish this Tezuka manga. Because there's an actual prize involved in it. That's like 1 million yen. Or actually 2, 1, or half, depending on what you win. And that's like between $4,000 to $16,000.
2 million yen?
Yeah, 2 million yen is like $16,500.
Yeah, it's like 20. Yeah, it's like 20K.
Yeah.
I don't know what the price. I know usually yen is like 100 to $1.
Well, because yen is the base currency. It'd be like if we used pennies for everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how I usually think of it.
But it's pretty weak right now.
Damn.
Yeah.
My friend used to fucking make a little bit extra money when he lived in Japan.
Yeah.
Just because he would always switch currencies whenever one was higher. But, so...
Oh, actually, it went up a little bit. It's not 16 anymore. It's 18.6 thousand.
Oh.
When I checked was actually like half a month ago, and I'm looking at the chart. There was a huge dip around the 4th through 7th, so that's why it was only down to 16. It's back up to like 18,000.
So what you guys need to do is you need to all make your harem mangas, and then you need to put them in a zip.
Yeah.
With no names on them, and then give them to me, and I'll have me and my friends vote. Since it's no one, you guys like, I'm the only person who knows you guys, so.
No, there's a few others.
Well, I'm gonna have my friends that like don't know you guys.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just
the ones who I trust.
Completely unbiased, because you'd be able to tell which story was mine.
Yeah, I know your
you know my voice.
Style. Yeah.
Well, even if I drew in a different style, you know my voice. So even just like if I drew it completely differently, you'd still like the dialogue styling and the way the story is paced. You'd still be able to pick up that it was mine.
Yeah, so I'll have some unbiased people vote, and that'll be
stickiest copy wins.
It's gonna be digital. I don't know how sticky it's gonna get.
Well, it'd be very sticky. He's on a flash stick.
True.
Oh, Very
I
sticky.
don't know if that's, but
It's a stick.
yeah, it's whoever. Which one? Which one did you fap the most to? But yeah, that's a pretty good
Yeah,
way of voting, I would say.
yeah. If the
So I wouldn't give it to
deadline
like
was
trolls.
literally any other time, like if I was given a month to a month and a half after the Tezuka contest, yeah, of course you'd be able to go over 30 pages. I'm not Shonen Jump that wants you to put exactly 55 pages down. Um, if it was after the contest that I'm already currently working towards, I'd have no problem participating in something like this.
Constant rule changes. Just make a set of rules and stick to it.
To be fair, I don't think Elric was actually doing constant rule changes. So this was all happening. Basically, nobody had signed an agreement yet, so there was like via negotiation within a stream chat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not constant rule changes if nobody's actually agreed upon the rules yet. This is the rule by committee negotiation period.
Exactly. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
just to come up with a set of rules, come up with a constitution, have everyone sign it, take a picture, or have someone draw the picture, and then start your own country. And
No.
sorry,
That's not where we're
this
going.
is sorry. That's the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. No. We're making a declaration of intent.
Yeah. Sorry, I was having flashbacks. But you moved the deadline page. I mean,
Again, this was all
your
happening
deadline
in
just like
committee, so we haven't actually. The deadline was stupid. Intentionally a bad deadline, and you know it.
yeah. I mean, if they're working on other things, it's not gonna.
To be fair,
I mean, but he's
Elric
doing
was
it on
like, "I'm
purpose.
gonna finish this." Well, it's Elric's fault. He's like, "I'm gonna finish my manga with plenty of time. I could probably make another one in that time." So that was his own gloating. That's the problem there, right? Me, I'm trying to finish with time to spare. But there's this thing called life that happens, especially like, I'm running a podcast right now that we do for 3 hours, right? That it's like, if I finish at the rate of a full page a day on average, right? Maybe there's a day that I did 2 pages. There's been a day that I've done only half a page and had to move on. But if I do it a page a day on average, I will finish with more than enough time. I'm not going to say I'm going to finish with more than enough time, though, because I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. I mean, just the other day, one of the reasons we didn't have the Wednesday show is because when I got back, I was tired as fuck. Me and Matt and our friend Dylan basically ran up from Texas, in the Dallas area, to just shy of Chicago up in Illinois. Because we had to pick my mom up from the hospital.
I messaged Matt, but he just hit me with the scene, and I read, left me on red. I was like, thanks, Matt. But so I was trying to ask what you guys were doing. I was trying to see if you were with him because I didn't know if we were doing.
Yeah, I was offline the whole time. I should have borrowed his phone or even told him to message you.
But I asked him, and he just read it and was just like, "Ah, fuck you." I was like,
"Yeah,
okay,
that's bad." He'll just read and leave it there.
He's lucky I don't live down there still.
But yeah, so I was tired as fuck. Like we came back with time. But did I message you? I thought I messaged you. Saying,
you did. Yeah. I was already. Since you guys. See, I was assuming you were gonna message me because he didn't say anything. So I was like, okay, they must have been still. And then when I was like laying down when you messaged me, and I was like, okay, and I just like put my head back down when I saw it.
Yeah,
I was fucking tired myself.
Yeah,
I was waking up for it, but
I came back like the day before that too. But
oh damn,
God, I was just
really fucking sped up there, huh?
Yeah. Well, I didn't sleep at all. It was the day.
Yeah, I saw your
day there, and we went late, right? We started late, so we actually pretty much just did a 2-day trip because we started late and we came back like right after dawn.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, whew.
That's insane.
I tried sleeping, but I can't sleep in a moving vehicle.
I can't. But that's because I've traveled so much, I've become accustomed to it.
It's a mix of not only are there a bunch of sensations that you're feeling all the time, but I'm also hyper paranoid. Like I suffer from chronic paranoia. They used to call it acute, but it's lasted so long. It's like, no, I'm paranoid for the rest of my life. And if I'm in a car, I can appear relaxed, but I'm never relaxed in a vehicle.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
There's certain people who I can't. Like, if I'm in a car with certain people, I will watch the fucking road almost the entire time.
But for me, it doesn't matter who it is. I can completely trust the driver. People don't understand the risk factor. When you're somebody whose mind is constantly just analyzing everything around them at all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You notice all the risk factors of everything. A lot of them you'd put up. Like, I don't stop myself from going into a car. It's worth the risk, right? I don't have fears of anything, but it doesn't stop my mind from processing and analyzing all the risks.
Oh yeah, no, I completely understand.
And the most risky thing you will ever do all day in your life, on average, will be walking into a car, like sitting down and riding a car.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of the most dangerous things.
Yeah. Odds are you will either die of a heart attack or in a car crash here in the United States. Maybe even both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, I'm always, like, looking at, like, all the fucking things that could happen. Yeah. I've traveled so much that, like, I had to get accustomed to it, you know? And
like, maybe if I was super, super exhausted, I'd crash. Like, it wouldn't be my choice. I would just crash. But again, I stayed up for 2 days straight, so that takes a while to happen.
Yeah, it sure does.
Especially, you know, me. We went to SGC, and I pretty much didn't sleep the entire 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do it. I would fucking die.
You sounded like you were dying when we were at SGC. You remember that,
right? Because I wasn't
Eric?
getting...
You sounded like you were in the freaking ICU with the way you were breathing while you were sleeping.
Oh, okay. I have sleep apnea, so...
Yeah.
That's just always... I've slept for, like, a long time. I've always been really loud snoring. But, man... there's times where I wouldn't get much sleep because we would get back super late and then we'd go early-ish. Yeah. Compared to what time we would get back. And then we would drink, so it was like we were just drunk the entire weekend. Which is exhausting in its own.
Yeah, see, that's why, like, with SGC, I was always going there because I have a bunch of friends in the community and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, the reason I wouldn't sleep is because I didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah, I remember you going to, like, the really late events.
Yeah, like
Craig
fighting Mike Tyson or YouTube Hell and all that stuff. And YouTube Hell is the best. I miss that.
Jesus, dude. See, this is what happens when I get tired. It's a fucking shame that Screw Attack is not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it is, but it's not.
I actually found out that you can still watch all the old videos. So they're not on YouTube. Right? They're set to private or whatever. You can't really find them. And you can't really find them on the Rooster Teeth site either. But where you can find them is... Rooster Teeth is owned by Warner, right? Which is also owned by Crunchyroll. In fact, Rooster Teeth and Crunchyroll, I believe, are actually the same company now. So on Crunchyroll's VRV app, there's a channel just for Rooster Teeth, and you can find all of the old Screw Attack shorts on there and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Like Clip of the Week and everything. They're all on there.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, especially considering that I wanted to make my company, like, name Screw Attack.
Yeah. Well, you might be able to.
But they're gonna. So many people are gonna think it's the other one. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you just wait enough time for let it pass, right? It'll be considered an abandoned trademark.
I'll just call it another Metroid item, like Space Jump or something.
Space Jump.
call it Plasma. But no, I did, and then I found Screw Attack, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool, but kind of sucks."
Yeah.
I think I first found out about Screw Attack because of Angry Video Game.
That's how a lot of people found out about Screw Attack.
And it was just like went on from there. And then I really got like more into Screw Attack when I met like you and Matt.
Yeah.
Because you were like super into like the community and everything.
Yeah, because I'd been following them for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, prior to what got me to finally go to the site. But I've been following them through, like, game trailers and stuff like that. Like, I knew of all the old content. What got me involved in the community and eventually going to the site, though, was when Brental Floss started doing stuff with Screw Attack.
Yeah, I also knew Brental Floss as well.
Yeah.
But I found out about him through same thing.
Even then, I wasn't that tight into it yet. Like, I would go visit the site, occasionally interact. I didn't really become super tight into the community until, like, just before the first time I went to SGC. Because that's when, even prior to the convention and the announcement, that's when I actually started interacting and reaching out with people. And then I met some people that I interacted with at the convention, and then I started making more friends in the community through the people there, and, like, a domino effect. Like, I had been involved for a while, but it was more of a lurker than not up until that point.
Yeah, I definitely wish I could have gotten more involved.
Yeah.
Just because, like, it would have been cool to have worked alongside them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much, experience when it comes to, like, editing and that shit, but I can do funny voices.
Well, this is why I'm trying to start my own
write jokes.
Empire. This is what I'm doing. I'm trying to start my own empire.
Oh, and called Screw Attack 2.
No.
Electric Boogaloo.
Oh man.
But yeah, I would love to do like it. That's why I really want to do voice act for sure.
Yeah.
Like that's like my. I mean, to entertain. What accent was that? What the fuck was that? That was none of my accents. That was not wrong.
That was your
right.
Your sleep deprivation accent.
Yeah, I was going on a whole another dimension. But I just want to entertain people in general.
Yeah.
Can I sing? Yes, maybe
in character.
In character, yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. I could totally sing in character. I don't know if it's good. Like, I think my singing's good sometimes, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do more voice acting, and that's why I really like this as well, because I like entertaining people, and I love doing the podcast. It's great.
Yeah. Speaking of voice acting, I need to probably go bother Inobria, our good old Mickey McFriend, and see what progress he's been making on that dub of episode 1 of X Dynamis Chaos. Because last time he sent me anything, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm down to like page 11." It was months ago, so I don't know if he's had time. He probably hasn't had the time. I told him he could take as long as it needs to. But again, it was like a month ago when we first started the podcast or whatever, and I have no idea what progress has been made since then, if any. Because if we could start doing things right, like I've been pushing it off because I'm working on this manga, but I finished the scripting for the Skull Spectre. Then we'll have like a radio drama that we can slap some voices on. And I'm trying to just create a lot of media of entertainment for people that are all connected. The problem is, and thankfully Mickey wants to do the editing for this dub. No, Evan, I'm not working on the harem manga. I'm working on the one that will actually possibly give me an award. But I'm glad that Mickey is doing this dub, because I gave him freedom to take it artistically. It's something he'll enjoy doing. But otherwise, I'm pretty much like a one-man army on everything that I'm doing with this stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to get the amount of content out that I actually want to get out, because I have a lot of plans and a lot of ideas and stuff. Things that I think will genuinely really entertain people. I need help. But I need to get enough done that I can convince other people to help, because I don't currently have the funds to pay people to participate.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like with me, like I feel like I don't bring enough to the table when it comes to certain things. Like I'm good as a character, but when it comes to like anything technical,
yeah,
I fucking I have like no skills. Like I can edit like certain shit and that's it, and it's not even to a point where I'd want to do it for someone else because I would feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, you could always learn editing as a skill. Doesn't take.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I don't enjoy it, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's anyone that you should definitely learn, it's audio mastering. If you're going to be voice acting and stuff like that, you should learn proper audio mastering as a skill.
Yeah, that's something I know a bit about, because I like when I would send you the
mini
fucking things. Yeah, the mini-sodes. I edited those.
Yeah.
And that was like that didn't bother me at all. And it was easy. Yeah, it was just I would cut out the uhs and the ums and the pauses, and I would take out the background noise.
Can we go on record? Minimum 30 pages for the harem manga by December 1st. Now that wouldn't be bad, right? Because that would give all of September, because the deadline is September 1st for the other one, through October, November. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That's like you could pace out 10 pages a month while doing other things. I could go with that.
Yeah,
put on record. Yeah.
But you gotta kind of see with the other people too.
Well, and also, I gotta see what the results to the contest I entered. Like, I could start it, but if I have to go to Japan or something like that.
True.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard. But that does sound very reasonable. I could probably do 30. I could definitely do 30 pages by then. I can do 55 pages in the time that I have left. I could definitely do 30 pages by then.
Could even be less. I mean, but
this is minimum of 30 pages, so you could do more if you need to. Which would probably be my case. I have a hard time doing things short. Like I write shorts a lot. I have a lot ready for people to work on.
Yeah.
But I prefer long form storytelling. So
listen, man, I don't write. All right, I don't. Well, I can write, but I don't do comics or anything myself. So I don't know how hard that shit is.
Comics are hard.
I mean, I know it's. That's the thing is, I know it's hard, but I don't know how much like you get done. I'm sure it depends on person. Depends on style, quality,
detail,
all that.
Yeah. So the thing with comics too, right, is that it's not just an art thing. There is a level of writing and planning that has to go into it too, right? So planning, it's kind of like planning out a novel, right? Even for shorter stuff. So you have to make an outline of what you're gonna do. I like to do all of this in one process too. So I'll basically, my scripts are outlines that become increasingly more complicated as I fill it out. So I'll go in and I'll make like the title, a brief synopsis of the whole story. That'll be like a paragraph. Then I'll go and I'll outline the characters that'll be involved, and then I'll put my page numbers. And my page numbers will be the outline for the whole thing. And I'll add like a title for the page, and the title will be like a single bare bones sentence that describes what's going on the page. And then I'll have all the pages. Then I'll go back through and I'll put a synopsis of what's going to go on each page. Maybe up to a paragraph. Or maybe 2 paragraphs if it's a really detailed page and I have to actually explain the details in the synopsis. And then after that, I'll go in and I'll add in, like, this is going to be the layout of the page. Here's the scripting for each individual panel. And because we're working digitally, I can just hit enter and add it in between the gaps. So I end up having, like, again, an outline that just becomes more complex the more I work on it. I actually even told people I just haven't had time because I'm working on this manga nonstop. Other than doing this, that I was going to do a script writing like lesson on one of my channels, like a live stream, and I just have not done it yet. I need to.
See, that's something I think I might have skills in, is actually just writing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like making like comics and
the
stuff,
art side of things, the illustration and stuff.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
art. So I can't draw for shit.
Well, and also, you might be able to write
write
pulps or like prose or whatever. You probably need more experience. Writing a comic is very much a different thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like writing a screenplay, but writing a screenplay as if you were also describing everything that happens from a visual perspective, right? So it's like storyboarding, but storyboarding without pictures, because you're going to describe what the storyboard's going to end up looking like. It's a little complicated.
I did that because I did it with I was writing for a game a while back.
Yeah.
It never went anywhere. But some friends wanted me to write the story for a game and like come up with ideas for the game. And I did. And I had it going all well, and then I lost all my work. Like, I made the mistake of not saving my work, and it was bad. And it didn't matter anyway, because like the programmers kind of like dipped out, and it just fell apart. But I had like a whole thing written. It was just like I lost it all, and it fucking sucked. But yeah, I think I could definitely write stuff. I just don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know where to.
Well, that's also my problem. My problem comes in when it gets to the art side of things. Like, I probably have more skill and talent than most people do, but I'm not to the point that I'm ever satisfied with anything that I put out. And I'm not talking about like oh, artists never. No, I mean, like from a professional standpoint, I'm not satisfied with the stuff that I put out. I'm just doing the art because I'm the only one who will do my art at this point in time.
Yeah.
You know, it's serviceable is what I call it.
Yeah, I got you.
But even for this, I did not even script out this whole manga that I'm working on. I stopped at the outline section, so I have a single sentence for each page, so I can remember what I want to put on that page. Again, you don't have time when you're working on a deadline necessarily to really flesh all this stuff out. The stuff I've fleshed out are scripts that I have sitting there waiting for people to work on. But because I have such a tight deadline, I spent a single session, like a day, just sitting down making this script. That's all the time I spent on this, and I'm just fleshing it out as I go.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on your own style. This is something I've been wondering for a bit. What do you draw on? Because I know you say you don't use a tablet.
Oh,
Do you draw
I'm
on
traditional.
paper?
Yeah, I'm doing it traditionally. So
And
I
then how do you like upload the pictures and stuff? Like
scan it.
you just scan it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember I saw and I was like, it doesn't really look like it's even drawn on paper. Like I was looking at. I remember looking at. I think you posted on like Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
But I remember looking at Instagram. And I was like, this doesn't look like it's like hand drawn.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So what I do is I have a sketch paper, right? I have it trimmed
mm-hmm.
to A4 size. And A4 is a legal dimension for paper. And it is the largest that the scanning bed will use. It's the size that you typically draw comics on anyway.
Yeah.
Working edge to edge, it works better for manga than it does for the traditional comic size. A lot of people, they'll grid out. But I have it trimmed to A4. I pencil it on there. I don't have time to do multiple sheets, and I don't have a tracing table. So
Yeah.
I will literally ink right over my pencils, erase the pencils as best as possible, scan it. I will clean up any eraser or like things that didn't erase properly as best as I can. Change the levels in Photoshop to where the lines are crisper, and
Yeah.
anything that's not black pretty much just goes away. And then I will add screen tones in Photoshop. So I do go in and I do some changing. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I assume like the text.
yeah, the text, all the lettering is completely done in Photoshop. And
Yeah.
then if you see like certain effects, like the screen tone effects, like the dots and stippling and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's all done in Photoshop too. Because if you're doing this like a traditional lithographic printer, there's no grayscale even for black and white. It's all literally black ink on white paper. So if you want a gradient or any type of shading effect, it all has to be done with screen tones, which is like varying of black next to white to emulate gray
Yeah.
to the eye. And I will often do a full page in a single session. Like I will start working, I will trim my page, pencil, ink, scan, tone, letter, done all in a single day. Which is slow, mind you, for manga.
Yeah.
Like it's fast for average comic work, but it's slow for manga. Because a lot of mangaka will finish 20 pages a week.
That's
And a lot of them have assistants though, right? So they're pretty much
true.
only drawing and inking the characters. There'd be other people who do background work and stuff like that. But still, that's 20 pages a week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Could I do it if I did literally nothing else? Probably. I mean, a very even more
I feel like that'd be
simplified
exhausting.
yeah. Why do you think a lot of people work themselves to death?
Like, I feel like it wouldn't even like you wouldn't even enjoy it at that point.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have to have like a passion
Yeah.
to like stick to it. Like that's the thing. Is like I never like although I really, really, really respect art and drawing and shit, I just can't do it myself.
Yeah.
Like my handwriting sucks. I can't color in the fucking lines. Like,
yeah. Well, okay, so I'd even have to say it's not even about passion, right?
mm-hmm.
It's discipline, right? Discipline matters way more than passion does. I will tell that to people any day of the week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In
yeah,
fact,
definitely.
the word art originally was synonymous with discipline. They meant the exact same thing. The arts are the disciplines. Martial art, which is military discipline.
Yeah.
In the classic world, because martial means military. Arts are disciplines. What it really comes down to is having goals, right?
Mm.
And then working towards the goals. I do not have a passion for illustration at all. In fact, I've almost never had a passion for art in my entire life. But I've drawn a lot, right? My passion is for storytelling, right? And even back when I was a kid, which the first comic I ever drew, piece of shit, but I drew it, was like back in the 3rd or 4th grade. And when I mean comic, it's not like I did a 4-panel strip. I would literally staple pages folded in half together and stuff. and I'd have 20-page comics, or 18 pages with the front and back cover. But there'd be 20 pages there, right? You 5 pieces of paper folded in half, stapled together. I could have had 20 pages if I added another page outside for the front and back cover, but then I'd have no idea what to do with the inside pages for the covers. I was a kid, you know, like the thought processes you have back then.
Yeah, I actually did write. I actually did write 2 books, for like kids' books. Like it had pictures and then text on the side, because I think in 5th and 6th grade, they each like had like it was hardcover too, and it was like I still have them somewhere, but God, it's so bad. It's so like it's so bad. Like and what's bad is that my drawing has not gotten any better. Like
because you don't work at it.
It's the exact fucking same thing.
Like I know a lot of adults, right, who even when they first start drawing as an adult, their stuff
15 years ago.
Their stuff looks like a 10-year-old drew it, right? It's like, well, yeah, that's probably because you haven't ever drawn, so you probably have the same capacity as a 10-year-old does.
No, I won't be joining for the hermit, but I might help with like rule setting and getting judges and making maybe like a grading sheet, but because I think that would be like a good way, like have a grading sheet where it's like rate 1 through 5 for this,
like
this,
an Olympic system in a way.
Yeah. Because and then have like which one they liked overall, like themselves, like because even if something is low, like
it could have like taste benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so my passion's always been storytelling. So I would draw even just character art stuff because I want supplements to go with the stories I'm telling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's why I even got interested in art in the first place. It was not because I'm an amazing artist or I want to be an amazing artist. I just want to have the ability to tell stories. And I do whatever it was that was necessary to storytell. So it's more about being goal focused than anything, right? Like if you want to be able to do something, you kind of have to be like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do whatever you need to do to be able to do it. It's like if people want to be a rock star, it's like, okay, well, you're gonna have to find some way of doing that, right? Which means it might be maybe you don't have the best voice. That's fine. A lot of rock stars, even the singers, don't, right? They work around it. But to make up for that means you're probably also going to have to be able to play an instrument. If you don't have like the most talent, like naturally tuned voice, you're probably going to have to be a songwriter, and you're probably going to have to be a manager to some extent, right? So that means you're going to have to find an instrument that, even if you don't have a passion for playing instruments, that you at least can tolerate enough to become good at and spend the time. Yeah, but that's like art, right? Illustration. I say I tolerate illustration.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. It's like, no, I'm not passionate when it comes to illustration. I tolerate it. And it's a necessary thing. Understood. Yeah. So like maybe you find the guitar intolerable. So you go and you pick up the keys instead because that's more your thing, right? Or maybe you become a sax player and you play sax riffs in between singing, right? Like freaking what's his name, Springsteen.
Yeah.
It's like whatever, you find a tolerable instrument, you get good at it. While you're getting good at it, you use that for songwriting because you're gonna have to learn how to write songs. Even if you never play the instrument on stage, you probably still need to know how to play an instrument to be a good songwriter. Because you need to be able to play the parts of the things that you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
If you're not going to be singing.
Yeah. You know? Well, even if you're singing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean...
For the other people, if you're going to be doing the songwriter, you got to be able to write harmonies to go along with your melody. Either that or you're going to have to be... It's very complicated, right? Because you can't rely on a band. That's the thing. You're like, well, I'll just get other people in the band to do it. We'll write together. You can't rely on other people if you want your things to get done. That's why I draw my own shit, because I can't rely on other people to do it.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I said you're also gonna have to be a business manager to an extent. It's like, well, you could always get a manager, but can you always get a manager? And how do you know that guy's not gonna fuck you over? These
Yeah.
are the things you have to think about. It's like, it's not about what I have a passion for. It's about what do I need to start focusing on to get done what I want done.
Hmm.
And then you have to take. I'm not saying do things that are intolerable, right? But you have to find all of the tolerable things that you can do, the things that you can tolerate, even if you don't have a passion for them, and then do them.
Yeah, that's how I am with the sound edit,
Yeah.
and like even working on like certain musical things that I've done.
Yeah. Like, to me, video editing, tolerable. There's videos I wanted to be made. I love the actual filming process, either being behind or in front of the camera. I like both of those, right?
Yeah.
I love the writing process behind it. Somebody needs to edit these things eventually. I could edit them now. When I asked Mickey to do the stuff, I was in between computers.
Hmm.
I could go back to video editing. I'm just not going to do that until after I'm done with this manga because how much time it's taking up. Like many things have just been pushed back for me to do this.
Video
But I
editing
find
is something I
editing to
would
be
like to get good
tolerable.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. It's tolerable, even though I don't really.
Yeah.
It's not something I really enjoy. But I think most of the the reason I don't enjoy it is because I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You know, so like a lot of time is spent just like trying to find out how to do certain small things,
Yeah.
and it's just like if
learning
I
curve.
became more, yeah, if I became more accustomed with it, I'm sure I would actually like it. Which I'm sure is why a lot of people do like YouTube poops and stuff, because they get real comfortable with editing
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Well, I consider it like going to the dojo for me, right?
Hmm.
I really like the end result of all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or like going to the gym. Like, everybody likes the end result of what their body looks like after putting all the hours into. And that's what I want. I want the end result of that video, or the end result of having that comic made. I don't really care about, I'm not passionate about most of the processes that happen into getting that end result, but I tolerate them because I want that end result. And that's the
Yeah.
goal-oriented nature, right? It's like, there's parts at the beginning. A lot of people love cardio, right? people love.
don't.
Some people don't. But vice versa. A lot of people love lifting weights, but they hate the
Yeah,
cardio
I
portion,
love
right?
lifting.
I love cardio. I've never been much into lifting, right? But people will find a part of the process that they like, but you can't skip leg day or anything like that, right? So if you really want that final result,
Sure.
you have to find the things that are tolerable and do everything that's tolerable to get to that result.
Yeah, that's kind of what like made me upload certain videos.
Yeah.
Like, just because like I have an idea and I'm like, you know what, I want to do this idea,
Yeah.
and I do it, and like that BioShock video, one thing I did, but yeah, that's like most of my uploads are just me thinking of something and then doing.
Yeah. Which I've actually, this is something I'm really good at, right? Because I've been paid to do this before, freelancing, is be a consultant on things. Because a lot of times people don't know where to start. Like, they don't even know how to tackle something they want to get done.
Yeah.
Especially being a creative consultant's the best, but I've also been like a technical consultant on a couple things. I wish I could get more jobs like that. They pay really well. They're like, I think it been a 2-year gap in between the last one that I had. But still, running consultant service, I'm really good at finding out what people need to do to tackle, like, get into the direction of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I can lay out, okay, well, this is a list of everything that you're going to have to do. And here is a suggested order in which you should do them, because this will help you feed into this, and then like a domino effect, you can move at a good pace this way. But I think one of the things that stops a lot of people from doing anything is if you don't have a passion for something, it seems impossible, especially because you don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's also laziness.
Yeah.
Like, to
Well,
be
because
honest,
some
a lot of
people
the
really
reasons
don't
I
want their
haven't.
goals as much as they say they do.
Yeah, but I think that's part of laziness.
Yeah, that's entirely almost laziness, right? Because if you really wanted something, it would counteract the laziness. Some things they
Hmm.
sound like good ideas. You're like, oh man, I would love that. But if you really love it, you'd be working towards it, or at least you'd be failing in the like by going in the wrong direction, but you'd be trying, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's because ideas sound cool to people, but most people really just don't want things, right? And I think that's why there's very few actual creators in the world,
Yeah.
right? Um, everybody wants to act like they're creative, and some people can have good ideas. Everybody can have good ideas, but to actually be creative means you have to be producing something.
Hmm.
It's not just about having interesting ideas. And execution is a big problem. And it's a combination of a lot of people don't actually want the things as bad as they say they do, and a lot of people don't know where to start. So even the people who do want something, they'll hit a wall very early on,
Yeah.
and that wall will often lead into laziness because you'll use laziness as an excuse as opposed to incompetence, right? Laziness sounds like a much better excuse than incompetence. It's not that I couldn't be working towards something. I'm just too lazy. Right? It leaves you on the high ground there. It's like my incompetency comes from my lack of desire to do it. And not the fact that like I seriously don't know what I should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I'm in that boat. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and like, but I'm like aware of that,
Yeah.
and it's like, so it's motivation and just like, because like you could learn, you could like look up videos on how to do certain things, and
Yeah. Well,
but
this is
it's
why you
just
have to
like,
start on anything when you're young, right?
yeah, exactly.
And
That's
it goes
another
back to
thing.
discipline, right? You even if it's not something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, it is important that kids do something of discipline when they're young. And this is like the only benefit I think our public school system even has right now. And it's doing a bad job of this, but it's like a pseudo way of putting discipline into kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, because motivation sucks. It's a
Yeah.
fleeting thing. You cannot rely on motivation for anything.
Nope.
Nobody can, right? The people who end up doing things are people who discipline themselves, right? It's I'm not feeling it today, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? Which even I have a really bad time with that. I took a whole day off of that manga uh, recently, just because, especially being drained. Like I just played video games the day I came back because that not sleeping, whatever, like that rest day that I said, I just was not feeling it.
Yeah.
And to that one, I gave myself a really good excuse. I did not sleep for 2 days before that.
Yeah. I mean, it's reasonable.
But sometimes it'll happen anyway. And I kind of give myself the excuse, like, I know I can make it up. But it's still bad. Like, I will mentally beat myself up for doing that.
Oh yeah,
You
no.
know?
I
And it's like, I
understand.
know I should have better discipline. Like, I know what the problem is. And I should be doing things to give myself better discipline. But that's the problem. You can't rely on motivation.
Mhm.
And sometimes you do have to beat yourself up. Like, I hear people say, don't beat yourself up. You know how I actually get myself to do things? Like a fighter.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will stand in front of the
Same
mirror
thing.
and I will fucking shit talk myself.
I mean, I don't stand in front
Yeah.
of the mirror, but I do it to
Yeah.
like. I do the same thing with friends.
Yeah.
Like, I'll try to push them.
Yeah. I'll be like, come on, you piece of shit. Do what you're supposed to be
Don't come
doing.
on.
Like, I would be hard to myself, too. And I think I need to. Because if I won't, who is?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And people are like,
Sure.
well, how do you get yourself motivated? Do you prep yourself up? It's like, nah. I tear myself down. Because I need something to push against, you know? I think people do the
Mhm.
best when they're pushing against something. When they're fighting back.
Yeah, yeah.
especially because like I'm a fighter by nature. I need something to fight against, or else I lose all motivation. Even if the thing I'm fighting against has to be myself. And I will literally trash talk myself into doing things.
Yeah, I do that with some things. A lot of other things, I'll do it by being like, just thinking of the end result, and just like, that's what pushes me is the end result.
Yeah, that's same. As I was saying before, it's being goals oriented, right?
Hmm.
I tolerate a lot of the process, and even for the things that I find intolerable, because there are some things I find intolerable, that's kind of where the trash talk comes in, right? I will trash talk my way through intolerable parts of the process.
Yeah.
Be like, come on,
Yeah.
you fucking piece of shit. Just get through it. You know you can do it.
I did that when I was working on my phone step song. I was like, come on, you fucking idiot. It's not that hard.
Yep.
Like, but, and I didn't give up, and I fucking did it. It's not that great, but I did it.
Yeah.
After years of saying I would do it, I finally just one day, I was just like, you know what? Today's the day. Even though it took me a few days to do it, because I had to learn how to use music software
Yeah.
from nothing.
I've been there. I
Yeah,
remember
that's
the first time I downloaded Fruity Loops.
yeah. I really I want to get comfortable with using Fruity Loops and like editing. That's what I want to get comfortable with. So,
And I'm
because
sure
I
I'm
like.
sure you noticed this already.
Oh, I have.
I decided to just give the audience a free half hour because we've been missing so many episodes and being off track. So
That's what I was gonna say. I was
we
like,
get a bonus free half hour.
yeah, I was gonna say it. I was like, um, I remember it was like at 18. I was like, you know what?
We've been going
I
over.
was like, they deserved it. No, I
Oh
noticed
yeah,
we were over immediately.
yeah, yeah. Like I've
But
been watching the time this whole time.
yeah, yeah, same. But I was just like, you know what? Since we didn't come on yesterday and we've missed other days,
Yeah,
you know, I'm fine with staying sure. But yeah, no, I mean, it's because I like just uploading random shit, anything that comes to my mind. Just like I'll do it, or I'll attempt to do it, and I want to get more comfortable because I want to make more videos. Just
yeah,
like, even if it's random, like I don't even care if like the thing is most videos have like a theme.
mm.
Like they have like their what they do. Like oh we do this, we do like skits or we do cooking. But
yeah. Like a channel will have a theme to their videos.
yeah. But it's just kind of like my personal channel,
Yeah,
and
that's what I do on my personal channel, which I hardly ever upload anything, but it kind of started as like a vlogging channel, and I'll just put like whatever bullshit up there.
yeah, like I have a bunch of videos that
Yeah.
I actually privated or unlisted them,
Yeah.
but like the stuff I have that is watchable is like the kind of stuff that I want to put on there. It's mostly just like it's random shit, really, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not like when we were doing TMTV, which you were even in at least one episode, because I know you were in the Metroid one I
Yeah, I
went
was in
to.
the Metroid one.
That was the theme was curated content, right? So all the
Hmm.
content on there was not the highest production value, but it was semi-scripted, recorded in performance, edited, curated content, usually around
Yeah,
video game or the surrounding culture for the theme. But sometimes it was skits, sometimes it was our mock interview show, what I learned in and stuff like that. But you could kind of feel that there was a continuity between things.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of channels are.
I had, well, I mean, you guys had like the same basic, cast. It was like
Yeah.
you, David, and Matt. So, and
Occasionally,
then
other
sometimes,
like Mickey would be in a couple of them, or
yeah, it was like the same, but it's the same like crew,
yeah, Buck over there
usually.
would be in a few of them and stuff like that. You'd see recurring faces.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like like you said, that's the concept.
Yeah, well, because
But
it was supposed to be a troupe, right? Because the It turns out there was already a TMTV, with top model television. But I had actually pulled the name for it, and had been sitting there waiting to be used for a really long time. We just never did anything with it. So I actually had that name first. But it's fine, it stands alone because the 12.2 was always put in there. And it was supposed to be like our last name, so it was like Team McGrath Television. And I never used it because it was supposed to be, I will start using this channel when I do things with either of my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of created like a troupe out of that. So me and Matt were doing things with it, and our surrounding friends would be recurring people and stuff like that. And that's also why I haven't done anything with it either, aside from the fact that I haven't been able to edit. But it's saved for stuff that I do with me and Matt.
Yeah.
We even had plans of doing another What I Learned In. We're probably going to start with Devil May Cry. But probably just not going to do that until, again, I have more free time.
Yeah.
Because immediately after we're done with this, I'm going to have the audio processing for the actual podcast upload that some people might be listening to. Hello, people in the future. And and that will be processing and then uploading in the background while I'm working on the next page of the manga. I don't know. Maybe I'll unwind with a single ARAM and League between then, because they don't take very long, right? It's not much of a procrastinating. Like, this might take 8 to 10 minutes, and then you limit yourself. I'm only allowed to play the one. Then I have to get to work. I actually find my pace gets better when I do that. It's like I'll hit like a wall of I've been working on this for too long. Then I'll go and I'll play like a single ARAM, and then I'll go back and it'll be like refresher. I've taken my 10 that you do.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to do it though.
Yeah. I mean, you do that at work, right? You have to take your 10.
Yeah.
So you got to treat it like a job. It's like, okay, I'll take my 10, then I'll come back to it.
10. So usually like 30, but
well, some people take a 30. ARAMs sometimes even up to 30, but most of them would take like 8 to 10 minutes. You can forfeit it 8 minutes now.
Shit, at my old job, I used to take a 3 hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I hated it. Yeah, my boss would have me work for like 2 hours, take a 3-hour break, and work for another 2 hours. Really fucked me over.
Yeah.
Because there's no point of going home, because it was in downtown Dallas. But
Well, every time like Firehouse, right? They'd schedule like early and then late, and there'd be like an hour or 2 hour break, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't actually be a break. You'd literally be off the clock. You have to clock out and then clock back in.
Yeah, that's.
But then it's like there's no point in leaving.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have to come back, and like you're gonna get home, sit there for like 10 minutes, have to come back. That's so dumb.
But that's where
I
was making a reference, because I thought you would catch the joke. At Firehouse, that's what they call it. Take a 10, because that's the most they pretty much give you outside of your actual lunch break if you were there long enough for a lunch break.
Yeah, pretty much.
Take a 10. Take a 10.
Take a 10. But what was bad is that I would sit there for like 2 hours sometimes, and then he'd be like, "Oh, you can go home." I'm like, "You son of a bitch, you motherfucker! I just watched the whole movie."
Could have been home this whole fucking time.
Yeah, dude, it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
That guy didn't like me. But yeah, taking breaks when you're working on shit is definitely like
Necessary.
super necessary,
Yeah.
or else you just get drained on it. And
Yeah, that actually the day that I managed to finish 2 pages in one day, it's because I kept taking a bunch of 10s. Like I would do an ARAM every like hour and a half or whatever like that, you know. And I was able to pile through 2 whole pages. But that's our time.
that is our time.
You guys better be fucking grateful for that 30 extra. No, I don't care.
Yeah, you better pay $5 a month. It's not a lot.
On the fucking Patreon that I set up. Actually, we do have one now. It should be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever. If you enjoy the show, think of throwing like $1 a month. I don't care. I set up like real quick. This will give us even more over time, but I set up a bunch of tiers on there, mostly as a joke. I'm gonna tell you right now. It even says so in the first tier. Everything after the $1 tier is genuinely a joke. I will fulfill all the promises on all the tiers if somebody actually backs it. Like, I'm legit with it. But they're gags. The reason there's so many is because I set it up like the Roman class system. To go with the Vomitorium theme. Take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to look at it right now myself.
But it is literally all like... It starts with the proletariat, which that's where the word comes from, right? It was from the Roman class system way before Marx or anybody else used it. It starts there, and then it actually has classes like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then there's the equus or the equestrians and stuff like that. Like it is literally the Roman class system, and the price even goes up to like $50 a month just because I was scaling it properly. But it's like I literally I don't expect anybody to do more than $1. And if you're a weirdo that wants to pay more, I will be thankful and you will get your privileges.
I mean, you know.
But we will also make fun of you.
If you like it enough to fucking pay, go
well,
for it.
I think being made fun of for paying extra is one of the privileges that you get, though. If you really think about it.
It's kind of like a shout out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a shout out. Where we degrade you, but...
in a sort of way.
Yeah. Anyway, that's been the Vomitorium. I'm your host, The Metal, and with me a co-host, Chris. Yeah. And we catch you guys later.
Doses.